DuckTales as the best DuckTales ever. See my screen.
No,
my
that
character.
All right. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 427, DuckTales and Spider-Verse, a critique on toxic fans. That's a fun little subtitle there. This just came out in October 1st of 2 years ago. When I say just came out, that's kind of stupid.
October 1st of 2 years ago.
Yeah, just came out 2 years ago. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it only has 40,000 views. I've never really seen both of these shows, so I can't really comment on them. I saw the original DuckTales. I saw clips of Spider-Verse. Neither really, it never got me going. Never was like, I got to watch these shows. It never really did that for me.
So. The original DuckTales was great.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it.
The remake is watchable. And as I'm gonna bore everything now on the cast because I just said all this in the green room. It does the DuckTales remake does have the agenda of male characters idiots, female characters all super empowered, with the exception of Scrooge McDuck. Because that would be too obvious, but everyone else follows that rule. However, it is not that much in your face, but you will notice it, let's say, after half the season or the first season. It is watchable, though. And, yeah, Spider-Verse, that's the movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
I'm gonna watch the sequel when it comes out. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I want to watch it just for Japanese Spider-Man.
Yeah. And unless people want me to go into details, maybe that's gonna happen throughout the video anyway. About what I mean with DuckTales. Yeah, I can do that, but I just said it all in the green room, and
well,
it's a lot.
Either way, we're going to see what he has to take on these two shows and why the fans are toxic in both. I just can't believe that's a thing. But anyway, let's just find out. I'm curious what he has to say.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh, great, loading issues on my end.
So in case you've been a bit behind on modern animation because you aren't trying to make a career out of absorbing every inch of pop culture that you can and actually have a life and so forth, then you might not have known that a classic cartoon show from your childhood was recently reimagined for a modern audience. And if you can't tell what show I'm talking about by reading the title, I don't really know what to tell you. So yeah, let's talk about DuckTales. 2017's DuckTales is a reboot of the classic 90s DuckTales cartoon that aired on the Disney Channel. If you're having a hard time remembering which show that was, here's the theme song.
Much better. Original was much better and more wholesome.
Anyway, the current iteration basically follows the same formula as the original.
Look at that art style.
Yeah, it's kind of
hard
flat.
lines, dreary colors.
No lighting.
The whole thing looks depressing.
There's no shading. I can't see really any. Is there shading? No.
Very minimal, very minimal. Yeah. The triplets got characters now. They have different characters now. They are different people, not just clones, technically. But they're never working together, really. They're never really working together. They're just
they're even more pathetic now.
It's. However, Webby, the cousin, she is super, hyper, mega competent and wants to go on adventures all the time. Well, they don't. The triplets are not adventurers anymore. But Webby is now the super adventurer mega girl. And if you saw her granny or aunt or what it was in the title, she is now super buff. Instead of the super sweet granny, she's now the super buff gouvernante who has led a secret life of being a super agent, super secret super agent. Right. Yeah, so she is super powerful. And spoilers, at the end, it turns out Webby is a clone, and there are 2 other female clones.
Oh.
So that makes 3 girl clones, a girl triplet clone. Because, we need equality, equity. So, because we have... And they're all super strong, of course. The other ones are evil at first, and magically they at the end become nice, which doesn't really work psychologically, but hey, who cares? It's a kid's cartoon, right? But essentially the male triplets then get countered by female triplets.
I'm suddenly reminded of bad ideas for episode 9 of Star Wars. If Rey was a clone, I'm like, oh, that would have been horrible.
I mean,
at the end, this is a lot of magical soap opera twists.
Oh god.
Donald's wife or the mother of the triplets, that is, who got lost on an adventure. She's also super hyper mega competent. Spoilers. She got stranded on the moon due to a adventure project, and has been trapped up there ever since, and has been trying to repair the rocket to come back to Earth. Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think she's also missing a limb and has replaced it with a robot thing. I don't remember. She is enjoyable to watch. I give you that. The show is watchable, but the agenda is in it. The agenda is in it, but the show manages to get the balance right.
Okay, so let alone having someone stranded on some moon base with limited resources surviving, let alone having a cybernetic implant for an appendage. Yeah, okay, sure, why not? Let's go with that.
I forgot how she has enough oxygen. I forgot. It is addressed.
We just built a moon base and forgot about it. It's completely self-reliant.
I think she has a sciencey pill.
Oh my god.
Oh, and the scientist, who was my favorite character of the show when I was a kid, he is now an evil narcissist. He's now an evil scientist narcissist.
Oh yay! Fantastic.
Scrooge is the only really competent male character. Donald is Donald. He's the same. I think he doesn't need to be touched by the agenda, really. He does have a heroic moment, however, and I think it would just be too obvious if Scrooge was too incompetent. Quack is more dumb than he was, and who was... I forgot the English name of Scrooge's other Scottish villain. I think the German name was McMoneysack. And he turns out to just be greedy and dumb. In the original, he was cunning. Now he's just dumb.
All right.
He's silly. He makes no sense why he's rich. The show also addresses that makes no sense, but it then turns out that he's just a fake personality because he got hit on the head as a child.
You're joking. You're joking.
No, that's supposed to be the joke.
Way to go, Disney.
I was a kid, and then I got hit in the head by a child. Then I had another personality. It was never real.
And I was evil.
Then I became evil. Like, what?
I became an evil capitalist who does dumb things.
This coming from the company that used to have some of the best villains in all of cinema.
Oh.
Why would you...
The sorceress, she gets to be relatively competent. That works.
Right.
Until she's beaten by Donald. Which
Of all people.
makes sense. Well, that has to happen because she's the villain, so boing.
Not even Scrooge. Not even Scrooge to pay tribute to his original actor.
I think Super Duck still works.
A little, yeah.
The finale of the show makes no sense. That's just dumb.
And as they're gonna as he's gonna explain in this video, they completely changed Darkwing, which is essentially the most.
Yes. Oh god.
Which is essentially the most anticipated thing from this reboot.
Yes,
Darkwing, just
sorry,
Darkwing on
I
its own.
completely forgot. Do you want to tell or should I?
I mean, the video's gonna say it
Let's
anyway.
watch it. Yeah.
The setup, but the Darkwing is important. Darkwing is one of the best duck characters ever made.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
this is the video.
Yeah, we're gonna.
But
Yeah, let's
look,
keep going with the video. The video's gonna say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
Three Duck brothers, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, all go live with the Rich Rouge along with their other uncle, Donald. They go on various adventures ranging from the fantastical treasure hunts to mundane business ventures. They're more interesting than I'm making them sound. But the original DuckTales isn't the only show that reboot draws influence from. It also takes a lot from another popular Duck-themed show that you may or may not remember.
Oh, yeah. A lot what it does is like Star Trek into reference. It has tons of references of the original DuckTales adventures, although in this show they hadn't actually happened that way, because this show is starts with Scrooge getting the triplets, like the original show, but there's tons of references of all the treasures that they found in the original show. So it's always, oh, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Do you remember this item?
Yeah.
And
Yay.
that's that doesn't speak much of creativity, if you ask me, because that's just reusing the old items, the established, the actual creative stuff that someone came up with, propping this here everywhere in this reboot or remake, whatever you call this nonsense, and then slap on this new age humor with its own story. I'm not sure I'm entirely on board with it, especially how they rewrote the characters. That's
was
just
a
it.
thing back in the 90s. Yep, Darkwing Duck, a Batman-style duck-themed superhero that aired from 1991 to 1992.
Way too short.
As I'm sure you can guess, I was a huge fan of that when I was a kid. Although, if I'm being honest, I don't remember much from the actual show. Anyway, in the 2017 DuckTales,
Take a guess at what
Darkwing
started
Duck
in
is
1992.
reimagined as an old popular TV show adored by Scrooge's pilot, Lunchpad McQuack, that was canceled before it could properly finish. And that brings us to the episode I want to talk about today, The Duck Knight Returns, which is the 16th episode of the show's
On the nose.
The episode opens up with the original actor of Darkwing Duck, Jim Starlin, at the opening to a furniture store where Launchpad and Dewey are attending. Interestingly, Jim Starlin is once again voiced by original Darkwing Duck actor Jim Cummings. You get it because they're
Yay,
based
Jim
on
Cummings.
the actual actor. Moving
All
on.
right.
He's a great
Despite
actor,
its
yeah.
modest cult
Yeah.
following, Starlin has evident.
It's also a play on the Star Trek trope that the actors actually hate their roles. Or Star
Kinda, yeah.
Wars.
And in-universe, in-universe, it's a play... Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and that the actor is actually a real asshole who hates his fans and everything.
Oh, yeah. And then the in-universe context, as he's going to say, is that it's a play on the Nolan movies.
A play on the what?
The Nolan, the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Just keep going with the video. He's going to give the context for that.
Yeah.
desperate to find his own way back into stardom. Adult, he seems pretty bitter and resentful to be in his current lot in life, a mood that is not helped by the fact that one of his biggest fans, Launchpad, can't even approach him without fainting. Although the tide seems to have turned as Dewey discovers that Darkwing Duck has begun trending on social media due to the announcement of a reboot movie based on a cult character. Starlin interprets this as an opportunity for a big comeback and enlists the help of Launchpad and Dewey. They give Starlin a ride to the movie studio, only to find that the studio is owned by their very own Scrooge McDuck. From there, the group barge into a boardroom where
The other guy was his stuntman, right?
The one that ended up becoming Darkwing in the reboot.
Yeah, the one that looks like him. Or
No,
what-
that's
what-
an- that-
I
no,
forgot
that's-
what he was. Was he the
No,
super
that's
fan?
another actor. No, he's another actor. The guy that actually becomes the actual Darkwing, that's another
Mhm.
actor.
Okay. I did like this little thing here. That is a play on the Monopoly guy and Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, that's cool.
This was a nice subtle joke. This one I liked.
Scrooge is talking with the film's director, Alistair Boonswan, who's British, which means he's classy, and he's got artistic visions of a dark, edgy reboot of the classic kids cartoon
And a
that's
scarf.
all about darkness and grappling with his own soul and... Oh, man. It's Christopher Nolan. They don't even try to hide it. It's Christopher Nolan.
With a
This
scarf.
is honestly where things get pretty
Yeah.
scathing. So naturally, both Starling and Launchpad go into the meeting guns blazing, with Starling acting excited about the prospect of working together, and Launchpad asking all kinds of fanboy nitpicky questions about whether or not all the stuff he loved will be in the movie.
Ah, cool! A big budget reboot of a thing I loved as a kid! Those are always great! Is Darkwing's motorcycle in it? Is he still a noble hero who gets back up and fights for right no matter what evil throws at him? You're keeping the theme song, right?
To attempt to appease these eager
So the show is aware of cultural problems of media. It still has the agenda in it, but subtly.
Yeah, but
I find that's why I find this is an interesting balance of everything.
right. But this setup is like, okay, yeah, you're describing the show here. What does this have anything to do with the fans?
Let's see where his setup goes.
Okay.
Alistair offers to show them the trailer, and if there's any ambiguity on the show's thoughts on the recent Batman movies, this is pretty much tears them all to shreds. See, darkness, more darkness, pearls falling slowly to the ground, people running away from Darkwing, pearls still falling. It's hilarious, but man, it does not pull any punches. Oh, and the kicker?
This film not suitable for children.
In case it wasn't abundantly clear who they're making fun of here, they even show the traditional scrawny villain Megavolt all beefed out and wearing the Bane jacket at one point. I guess you can make the argument that it's not just ripping on the Nolan movies so much
Megavolt
as
hit the gym.
overly serious and unnecessarily dark tones that those films and future films would adopt, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I think you made the point. I don't think you need to tread on it more.
Naturally, Launchpad does not like what he's proclaiming that it's not at all true to the character, but Alistair seems to have his own mind made up about his edgy psychological interpretation. Starling receives his own rude awakening when he's told by Alistair that he will, in fact, not be playing the title character, and instead will be played by a significantly younger actor who actually introduced himself to Starling at his signing as the president of his fan club. Starling takes the news about as well as you'd expect.
Yeah, you're right, he is a
and
mega
decides to
fan.
recruit Launchpad on a quest to get himself into the movie. Starling attempts to break into the set wearing his classic suit to try to worm his way into the film.
Oh, I remember. This episode is essentially irony. The showrunners didn't get that their remake is essentially the very thing this episode criticizes.
Okay.
And makes fun of.
So are the fans?
Oh yeah.
These guys are the fans of the story, and therefore they want to be involved. So they're crashing the party. Is that like?
Oh no! Quack and new actor guy. They are fans of the original Darkwing Duck.
Right, but
They're the original fans, like the core audience.
what is
Like the thing that modern social justice always destroys when they get hold of a franchise.
But what is the toxic element? Like, what is the bad part? I'm trying to like they're two fans.
I mean, he's getting.
I
Well, he's
don't
getting
think
there.
he got to that yet. I
Alright.
don't think he got to that
No,
yet.
he's not there yet. No.
Okay.
Well, we've gone 5 minutes into this video, and he's not got. I'm just trying to understand. Like, all I seem to get is, ha 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 ha. This is making fun of people who like Batman, and I've just sat here,
Yeah.
and
You
it's like,
No.
that's
Yeah,
what
make your
like
point.
Usman says.
Yeah, make
No,
your
it's like
point.
what
You want to fit Spider-Verse into this video at some point.
Yeah, but it's like what
I mean,
Wood said.
he does.
What's toxic about this? It's like, oh, the original fans are asking, is it still sort of like the original? And everyone's like, no. And it's like, okay.
I'm still not, unless the idea of storming a party or storming a production is bad, and that's the effect of how crazy some fans are. I was like, okay, yeah, I never heard stories of that though. In reality,
I never heard stories of a fan and Adam West jumping Christian Bale at the start of Batman Begins. That never.
It would be great.
It'd be
Yeah,
funny.
it'd be great, but like that's not happened, and it's like.
Yeah.
So what's?
yeah, hopefully we're getting somewhere. This is
Oh, I could rather imagine. What was his name? No, Patrick Stewart. The Captain Kirk guy. I'm getting old.
Picard.
William Shatner. Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Jumping at the guy from the Abrams movies.
What, Chris Pine?
Chris Pine.
Why am I just knowing all these names of people to just like answer
I can't
questions?
remember
I mean-
names.
Oh.
I have an excuse. I can't remember the name.
Anyway, let's
it'd be
get
funny.
to the point here. As I'm like, what are we watching?
Yeah.
Launchpad to the trailer of the new actor playing Darkwing, and so he can't show up on set. But when Launchpad goes to do exactly that, he finds that, much to his surprise, this new actor isn't just some actor looking to overshadow the original, he's a fan. In fact, he might be more of a fan than Launchpad is, and they spend some time bonding over their shared love of the character. He then goes on to explain exactly why this character means so much to him, and why it's so important that he does the role justice. When he was a kid, he used to get beat up a lot at school. And then he saw this show about a...
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
He's gonna explain the entire episode.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Yes,
I
he
mean-
is.
For no reason.
As much as I enjoy hearing stories
thinks
about
he
people
needs
getting
to.
beaten up and children being hurt, I'm not really interested in. I just get to the point where it's
Look,
toxic fandoms.
yeah. Yeah, and a synopsis would still be shorter than this is.
Mhm.
He's just retelling the entire episode.
hero
A note-
who always
a note
got back up
attached
whenever
to an
things got
arrow
hard, or
Would be
no
shorter
matter how
than
hard he
this.
got hit. He took this as inspiration and started dressing up like him to school, along with taking a Darkwing Duck lunchbox. And while this admittedly caused beat up more, he always got back up. Getting back up became his mantra, a mantra he carried to this day. And while he knows the film they're making isn't as good as the director seems to think it is, he wants to be that inspiration for a kid just like him. This convinces Launchpad to work with the actor to try to save the movie. The actor also tries to bring Starling on board, but yeah, he's not having it and knocks him out cold. On the actual set, Starling follows through on his plan by going off script during the finale to make it just like the old show, but in doing so, accidentally sets the stage on fire. The director and crew try to stop him, but he's clearly gone insane and tries to kill anyone who tries to stop the camera from filming, using what looks to be a lightning turret? Well, props for practical effects. But Starling's attention is drawn by the return of the actor dressed in his costume and calling himself the real Darkwing Duck. What follows is a final confrontation between the old Darkwing and the new, as Starling throws everything he's got at Darkwing only for him to keep pushing forward, repeating the mantra, "Get back up." The episode ultimately ends with the film getting scrapped and Starling presumed dead. The name of the actor is revealed to be Drake Mallard, the alter ego of Darkwing from the original series, who decides to become a superhero for real, taking the mantra from his own childhood hero. Young upstart taking over a mantle from a popular superhero? Original hero is
This
washed
is the
up,
annoying
bitter and
part.
desperate, continuous threat of getting back up whenever he get knocked down? Where have I seen the same thing
Can you stop
recently?
this effect, please? So what they did is that the original Darkwing Duck player turns into Bizarro World Darkwing, whose name I forgot.
Negaduck.
Negaduck? I think
Gigaman?
I'm sure he had a more interesting name in the
My
German
dude.
dub.
What? What? I just heard you said the N word. You don't know about that.
No, it's not. Don't get this channel taken down, my dude.
No, but
Just say-
yeah. They made the greatest because magically the color washes off his jacket and he turns because he's in the sewer
Yeah.
because it's probably
It's stupid.
cheap and now he turns into evil Darkwing Duck from the original show.
Okay.
Yay.
This is
Okay,
dumb.
fine.
This
So-
is a dumb twist.
Hold on, Wisp. I know you're trying to like explain all this stuff, but and this is not against you or anything like that. Just hear me out. What the actual fuck does this have to do with toxic fandoms?
I don't know.
Excellent. Anyway, I'm gonna get another drink
Yeah, that's a
because
good
that seems to be the only thing that I'm gonna be enjoying.
idea.
uh,
Can we
Because-
skip ahead? Is he going to get to a point here? I don't know what's happening.
He's
so
getting
is he
into-
gonna explain the entirety of fucking Spider-Verse?
No,
That's a bit longer than
Well, he
one
does have
episode
20 minutes for it.
of
Oh, God.
but he just for Spider-Verse he just goes over the cliff notes.
Fine.
Oh, wait, yeah, but you could go to
This
the
should have
cliff
been
notes
cliff
of,
notes.
you could go to the cliff notes of one episode of Ducktales.
And it took a third of an episode of of that episode.
A third of the episode. What?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't suggest this video.
All right.
Anyway, well-
Let's just go a bit ahead here. Anyway, here we go. We're now at 8
Okay,
minutes.
we just assume he will just be retelling the plot. Yes, is that it?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Not the whole plot, though.
Let's find out.
Subway
That's
system,
fine.
they'll let him tag the wall there freely. While he's there, though, Miles is greeted by an unexpected guest, A genetically modified
He is
spider
telling
that
the
proceeds
plot.
to sneak up on him and
Yeah.
He is telling the plot.
Let's keep going. All right, no, Kingpin is still going. No, still going. Still
Tell
going.
us about toxic fandoms.
You said this is short.
I didn't say it was short.
All right, now we're 10 minutes and a half in. All right, see how we're good.
is to quickly teach him their specific style of being Spider-Man or woman. With only one lesson in common.
Wait.
No matter how often
Teach him to be a woman?
No.
Yeah, what you just said.
Don't worry, we get it. It's
Oh,
fine.
don't worry about it.
What it means. We know we get it.
It's dumb.
you get knocked down, always get back up.
Yes, thank you.
It seems Miles isn't ready for the big leagues, and he runs back to his uncle's apartment
So
to hide out.
Spider-Gwen is a
But Shane quickly
self-insert
turns into
character.
dismay when he finds out that his uncle Aaron is actually the villainous Prowler working for the Kingpin. This eventually leads to a scuffle at Aunt May's house, where the Prowler eventually corners Miles and discovers his secret identity.
Oh, yeah.
This results in the Prowler backing off, only to be shot and killed by the Kingpin.
Discovers he's
The other
told
Spider
his secret
people try to
identity.
comfort grieving Miles by sharing their own experiences of loss, while also emphasizing that the hardest part about being Spider-Man is that you can't save everyone.
I find this great that Kingpin just stood there and shot him with a pistol. Hey, dude. But yeah, this is the Uncle Ben equivalent here.
Yeah, superheroes are
Right.
very durable. Or supervillains, rather.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there a point to this? I'm hoping to find... Like, we're almost halfway through. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's for toxic
However,
fandoms.
despite
If I
all-
wanted to listen... No, seriously, if I wanted to listen to, like, the story of Spider-Verse, I'd have watched Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I know.
This, Peter tells Miles that he's still not ready to help, must be left behind. When an angry Miles asks when he'll know he's ready, Peter replies, "It's a leap of faith." This, along with a subsequent speech from his father, finally gives Miles the courage to stop trying to be like all the other Spider people and be his own Spider-Man. This allows him to finally take command of his powers, design his own suit, and ultimately save not only the other spiders, but also the world. With all the other Spider peeps back in their respective dimensions, Miles becomes the new and only Spider-Man, as he ends on narration explaining that when all is said and done, anyone can wear the mask, anyone can be Spider-Man, because anyone can get back up. Okay, so now you're more than likely wondering why the hell I'm trying to tie together Ducktales and Into the Spider-Verse, because as of right now, the only thing you might think they have in common is an adopting identity plotline and get back up.
Half the video.
But I think there's an unspoken subtext that both properties share. A pretty condemning argument against toxic fan bases. See, within every pop culture fan base, there lies a subculture that takes things a bit to the extreme. These are often the assholes you hear about that threaten and harass creators who don't make things exactly the way they want to be made. And I'm not necessarily talking about the crazy anti-SJW people, that's a whole other video. Anyway, this particular group of fans have an extremely specific view on how all their
Oh no. You got that wrong. SJWs can speak their minds. They shouldn't be listened to. They shouldn't get power. They shouldn't get to decide things. Because once they do, they throw out everyone else. We need to keep them out. That's the point.
There is also no such thing as anti-SJW. What we call that is normal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Because these types always try to paint the things as there are only two sides, which is their side, and everyone else who is evil, and therefore wrong, and therefore evil. That's not how the rest of the world sees it. That's just how these lunatic, fanatic, actual fascists see it. Because definition, let's go by Mussolini, the Italian guy who came up with the modern definition of fascism in the first place. He said, fascism is everything within the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state. You can translate this to everything within the group, nothing outside the group, nothing against the group. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
They're fascists. The social justice people are fascists. End of story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We just...
That's how cults work.
Mm.
And
Yes.
tyrannies.
Yeah.
All right. At least he's talking about. At least he's on topic now. It's like, okay, good. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah.
Finally.
But the minute
I
someone
can
brings
see
up,
I can see the point of explaining both plots extensively for people who haven't watched it at all.
Yeah,
But
he's still dead ass wrong, but he finally got to the point.
I mean, at least it's well structured so far, so that we can just skip over it.
Wisp. But Wisp. The major problem is the minute, it doesn't matter what you say, the minute you mention anti-SJW, it's like your opinion just like flies out the window. It's just like, well, we obviously know which side of the fence that you're sitting on with stuff.
It can also just be massively misinformed and be a useful idiot, which is mostly the case these days.
So then his opinion is just flying out the window, as per my point.
Yes, just for different reasons.
Yeah, there you go. My point still stands. So yeah. Anyway, we've got halfway through. The toxic fandoms.
Yeah, and Berserk 850. We didn't start it. He did.
Yeah, don't start. Yeah, it's again. No one's mentioned socialism, which is all right. So let's keep going.
All right.
Yeah, he's the stupid.
Canon should be portrayed, and will often directly attack or talk down to anyone that disagrees with them.
So canon being portrayed is based off the knowledge you have of the subject material. So there's lots of hardcore fans that know everything, and there's nothing wrong with having a high degree of knowledge on a certain topic. The thing is, if you're making a new iteration of Spider-Man or whatever, it's like, okay, yeah, you have to understand they're doing something new, and that's fine. So
yes,
it depends.
Creative liberty.
It really depends what that knowledge is being applied towards, if it's an adaptation or just a new iteration, and why you're so defensive on the topic. Like, why is it so important that the lore is preserved? So it depends.
Well, because it'd be like if they made a new Spider-Man and like he wore a bat costume. Be like, and be like, well, it's our interpretation of it, and it's like, no, that's not how these things work.
Right. So there's plenty of arguments to be had on the details of what that is, like how Peter Parker was introduced into that show. Is the depiction realistic or believable to the source material from the 60s or the 70s? Like which flavor of Spider-Man? So there's all kinds of wonderful interpretations you could take, but I think most fans are like, yeah, okay, it's Peter Parker. It's a fine enough example. It's not nothing horrible.
Yeah.
So.
Also, Hawk, there is such a thing as Peter Parker in the Batsuit. It's called Batman Beyond.
Ugh, yeah, don't. Ugh.
Hey, Batman Beyond is good.
Yeah, but
was that the one where Bruce Wayne is old?
Yep.
Yup.
It's a great show. Anyway.
They're just idiots who would see things their way if they were just... Or just shout into the void if X character or story didn't meet Y requirements that conveniently caters directly to their particular version of things. You tell us it's the most in Marvel
that's
fans,
not the
DC
majority of
fans,
people
Star Wars
complaining when
fans,
this shit
basically any
happens.
property that's been going on for years and years and years. And oddly enough, you see a lot of this among the Spider-Man fans. Now, to be clear, that's not to say all fans of any of these properties are on the same level as these obnoxious individuals, but there's
That's
a
what you're
strong
saying.
vocal minority in each one who continuously pick fights about the dumbest nitpicks and push their opinions as fact until your face melts off.
You mean the SJWs? Because the other side are the purists who want to keep their material somewhat consistent and logical and true to the characters.
It really depends on the argument. It really depends what is the complaint and why are you so sensitive about it? Because we can do the same thing with any series. And
we always had the super nitpickers. The Simpsons made good jokes about that when the cast of Xena was on a panel at Comic-Con and the super stereotypical nerds were asking, well, in scene 515 of episode 465, you were riding a Mustang of this breed, but in the next scene, the horse you were on was of another breed. I don't know horse breeds. And then the answer was, so why is that? And then Lucy Lawless simply answered, wizards.
A wizard
and
did
the
it.
fans were satisfied.
A wizard did it.
Yeah, because it's just continuity errors. And yes, there are people who overly nitpick about that nonsense. However, that seems to be the strawman you are aiming at here. That's not the standard fan that SJWs complain about, because SJWs complain about everyone who likes the thing, the franchise, the whatever, the way it is in general. Because they want to replace it with their own ideological distortion that nobody likes but them. They are the vocal minority.
Yeah.
Not the pure. I just say for convenience sake, I'd say the purist fans.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the Worsleys' dumbass arguments can be found on places like Twitter or Reddit, so if you're not on either one, consider yourself lucky.
Why would you go to Reddit to find arguments stuff? That's like going to a sewer and not expecting to find shit.
Yeah, and Twitter's not a place of communication, much less argumentation.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Why? Don't do it. Stop. Don't. Get help. If you.
I miss the 90s internet.
I just miss it when less people were idiots.
Yeah, there were idiots on the internet in the 90s and early 2000s. But it was much harder to get on the internet in the first place. It kept a lot of idiots out.
Well, it's today with the Rittenhouse trial. Everyone's complaining about, well, if Rittenhouse was black, he'd have been shot by now by police. You're like, okay, guys, leave it alone. There's nothing to do with the topic of the trial.
Yeah, oh god, yeah. I mean, I've seen some. The Rittenhouse trial really has proven that there are a lot of retards who have access to the internet. It shows that IQ is not necessary to use a computer.
Yeah, I was surprised when I heard that there were, up until the trial, people who thought that Rittenhouse was just out there and had shot black people. And was astonished that all of the people he shot were the opposite of black.
It was funny. I was hearing reports that he was a white supremacist or that the rioters were white supremacists as soon as they found out the white guy shot other white guys. It was just like, wait a second, they're BLM people, they're Antifa people. No, they're not white supremacists. What are you talking about?
What's that? The media lied?
Yeah.
Fun times. Anyway, America's weird. I don't listen too much to what happened.
Weird is an understatement.
Yeah. I like them, but they're just weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see what he has to say about all these super fans who are nitpickers.
All these super fans on Reddit. Cool.
Yeah, on Reddit. Yeah, I know.
You are follow me.
No.
While the criticisms laid by these people can range from the broad strokes to the weirdly detailed, you can often lump the most egregious of these into two categories, or at least the two categories I'm going to discuss. The people who either want it exactly like the source material that matches what they have in their heads, and the people who think that everything must be ultra serious and adult, and anything that's funny or family friendly, God forbid, is bad.
Okay, so we're talking about three different things here. One, the original source material. I don't think anyone expects an adaptation to be a completely authentic. That's a little too extreme.
Yeah, I do not want 50s Batman.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I do not want 50s Batman.
There's too many iterations of Batman for us to say, oh, it should have been like this one in episode 351 of whatever. It's like, no one's doing that. The second thing he's talking about is the headcanon argument. So it's my way is the best, or I like 351 Batman the best.
Hold on. People think of headcanon. Literally, SJWs just live in headcanon.
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah. We know that.
But that's what always makes me laugh. It's like fanboys aren't living in headcanon.
Well, that's
people who are
because purists. The first are purists, and purists and headcanon are mutually exclusive. They're not the same thing.
Yeah. I'm not the person who has to headcanon that somehow Rey earned the name Skywalker somehow.
Well, it's the same with someone who likes the Silver Age version of Superman better than what we have now or whatever. It's just like, I think this is the best. But usually when you talk to people like that, they understand preference.
But the thing is with that, Smud, is that has evidence of stuff. What I mean with the headcanon stuff is they just make the films that we watch aren't the same things that they're watching. They just they have the whole thing's completely distorted, and we're just like, well, what? Are we watching the same thing here? And it's like, oh, I like this because this, and this, and you're like, that never happened. What are you on about? I mean,
we dismiss that very easily. Yeah, we tend to laugh at that.
And
what was the video that we did recently where not the gay, lesbian, socialist Sith Lord, the other one where it was like, so this is just headcanon. Was it Neurality's one where it was like she liked these programs because she just headcanoned everyone's gender, and it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, then you don't like the programs. You just like something that gets your fetishistic imagination going.
Well,
yeah, but what I'm trying to point across is it's like don't say that fanboys just want their own headcanon. Very few of them do, because what they like is usually already been written down or done before.
Mm-hmm. It's usually something based off lore that they enjoyed, the universe, the setting, the world, some of the characters, traits, and plots.
Yeah.
And they say, this is really good, I like that. And when you defer, or it's not defer, when you deviate from that, you're like, wait, this is different now. The world's different, the character's different,
Well, it's like most Batman fans would probably enjoy stuff that sticks close to what the animated series did, because that's what most people assume to be their Batman. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we talk about sequels or prequels. The issue of continuity is very important, and
yeah.
Let's
say like adaptations of stuff. It's like, when people make a Batman adaptation, most people go, "Well, this isn't like the."
Well, this is the problem. This is the problem with the adaptation argument. And I made this whole spiel on Twitter, and people didn't like what I had to say. Is that yes, the thing that is being made should stand on its own as a story. And that's the standard stuff, storytelling, brevity is a soul of wit, and having a plot and having characters that grow and all the normal stuff you expect from a story. But then if it's based off a franchise or something, then you have the adaptation argument, which is, okay, I know, let's say Batman is XYZ style of element, and I expect something like that. Same with Star Wars, same with James Bond, same with any popular franchise. You expect those elements. And if they're not there, you're like, okay, the creator is doing something different. He has to compensate for that missing component with a new component. And then you say, okay, now it's no longer an adventure story. It's an action adventure story. Is Batman better being more violent? You're like, maybe he is. And you have to respect that genre and say, okay, now I have nothing to fall back on with Batman being a guy who kills. What is a good example of a guy who kills in the superhero genre? And you compare it to like the Punisher or whatever, and you're like, that doesn't quite match up the same way. Punisher's a little different and a little more mature how it handles violence. And we don't see that with like the iteration of Batman in movies these days. So you have to fall back on some criteria if you're using the adaptation argument when something is replacing something else. And you have to pull from that somehow, and that's when things get confusing, because you're now creating.
Still has to fit.
It's some lock has to hit some key properly, and some people's interpretation of what is at the action genre or the comedy genre or any mixed genre is subjective, and it's tough. And that's when we get the nitpicky stuff, which I think is actually relevant argument, because the fanboys will say, well, in this version of Batman he did kill, or this version of Batman did use guns, or whatever. So that is an argument that you can't be dismissed, because people will just say, well, it's entertaining, it's good storytelling. It's like, yeah, but it's coming from a pedigree that has decades of storytelling, which the source material is not respecting.
Yeah.
And with DC in particular, they also have the multiverse element, where it makes complete and utter sense for any version to be different from one another, because it's an in-universe plot element.
Yeah, but they're not entirely different from each other, and that's where I want to get at, and where I agree with chat. And I think the chat responses show that the majority of people do understand this, that let's say the what I call the purist side does not require or expect 100% authenticity, but the authenticity
It
in
does
the
not.
key elements that make the thing. Which is why the Elseworlds comics work.
And that's why we talk about adaptation as a bias towards what your expectations for the interpretation is going to be. And when it isn't, and you say, well, what is wrong with that reinterpretation? Is there something I'm missing? Is there some knowledge of the lore I'm missing? Or is just the creator just didn't want to do it and just did their own thing? And that's
kind of the fundamental reason why Marvel decades ago embraced the whole what if thing to do very different things and still have it be within the same multiverse.
Yeah.
I think it's good creative interpretation for comic books. It's a little different when you're talking about big budget films.
And I think this is a good example with the Star Wars movies. The prequels look like Star Wars with new stuff, fitting with this timeline thing. Although it was crude, they're just badly written. The Disney trilogy thing,
is a complete betrayal.
I refuse to call it sequels. It also looks like Star Wars. It has the look. It kind of has the atmosphere.
Is it? Does it have the look? Okay.
It has a very good look, but I don't know if it's...
Yeah, but it looks like Star Wars. It has the right props and everything. However, or the right style. The props are made in the style of Star Wars. However, it's not just that the writing is bad. The characters are broken. And it breaks the old characters. And that is why the whole thing breaks. The authenticity breaks too much.
This is why...
And that's why it's not accepted.
A show like Batman Beyond, because it's in the future, there's enough elements... Well, yeah, it's a sequel. Yeah, in the same universe. Because it's in the future, you can get away with a lot more stuff because the future has technology and drugs that never been heard of, and Batman could be this way. Yeah, of course he could be. And everything just neatly fits. And it's this beautiful story of what would happen if Batman got old, because they very rarely tell that story with these famous characters.
It's an interesting one. I only remember a couple episodes of Batman Beyond from my childhood, and I wanted to watch more of it, but the time slot kept moving, I think, so I never caught it right. I want to watch the old series, the original animated series, and then Beyond at some point.
Right. Don't
know yet when. But as a kid, the original animated series, it was too mature for me, too adult, well, not a kid's cartoon. It wasn't Freakazoid. It wasn't Animaniacs. It wasn't Pinky and the Brain. It was serious stuff.
Oh, it was a kid's cartoon. It was just more mature.
Yeah, it was for older kids than I was.
Right. Same with Gargoyles, same with Spider-Man. Even X-Men was a bit more mature than the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, Gargoyles still worked at that age.
Yeah, but the downside of X-Men is that now they're going to run it into the ground.
Here is Great Scott. Thanks for the tip. The only time I ever touch headcanon is when I really liked something that had potential, but insurmountable issues like Dragon Age and the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and that's usually as a writing warm-up for my own work. That's a great example because, well, we already talked about Star Wars, but even Dragon Age with everyone falls back to Inquisition, saying, oh, it's the greatest version of, whatever. It's like, well, look what they did to Dragon Age 2 with Hawk and Inquisition. Like, all the characters gone, forget about him, gave up all his relationships. It just lost the character.
Heck, even have a line that literally just rubs at home when the Nightmare Demon goes, do you think you ever mattered? Do you think anything you did mattered? I'm like, Jesus Christ, alright, we get it.
Yeah. Even
though the game wasn't very successful, even though it set up everything.
Yeah, the whole bridge to Inquisition was the DLC from Dragon Age 2. And it's Legacy deal. Yeah, and can you imagine being the guy who causes this great catastrophe? He's like, oh shit, I should do something about that. Yeah. And he's slowly, lollygagging his way around the country. Oh, there's a religious order stopping this thing. I should go join them. It's like, yeah. You probably should be in charge of it.
Even the most sarcastic of hawks would be doing something. Like they destroyed every single character to try and make because the problem with Dragon Age is it doesn't work with their idea of a new hero each game.
It could, but
it could, but the time frames between the games are so there's only 14 years between the start of Dragon Age Origins and the end of Inquisition, yet we're meant to believe there's been 4 world-ending events.
Yeah,
and it's like
there's times like that. Don't you know? We just had we had it. So from 2000 to 2014, we had the Y2K bug. We had the Mayan calendar ending. We had absolute climate change where the world is freezing over.
West, you forgot 9/11.
We had 9/11. That was also a world-ending event. Then we had SARS-1 in 2008.
Yeah, right.
The problem about
that's already 4.
The Y2, I'd prefer the Y2K event than the fucking Blight. All right, there's just a slight difference between computers maybe not going to the year 2000 and slobbering demon monsters chewing on my lobes. There's slight difference.
Yeah, but Hawk. Also, the Maya calendar ended. That also meant the end of the world.
Yeah. So comparing Dragon Age to the setup of Mass Effect, which is continuous. Dragon Age has time skips even throughout its actual game itself. Like Dragon Age 2 has a series of time skips. So
Dragon Age 2 starts in 930 Dragon and ends in 937.
Yeah.
Dragon.
So there's all these events happening, and they're all like world-ending events. Like this is too much. This is silly.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you've got just even in the second game, you've got a Canary invasion, the mage is destroying everything, and you're like, okay, just got to chill, calm down. Then you got Corypheus escaping, you're like, oh my god. Then you've got Hawk stopping, what is it? Orlais starting a war with the Canary again, and you're like, oh Jesus.
Hawk being Hawk.
Yeah, but it was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, just chill. And then Dragon Age Inquisition comes around.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, everything you've done, forget about it. You're like, wait, what? And then they set up that a storyline that they'll never do with the damn warden stopping the calling. And it's like, Bioware, chill your fucking beans. Just sort out one story.
Pick one story.
What is about other stories?
Yeah,
just Bioware.
One at a time, damn it! One at a time.
So, because the next game you've got Solus, you've got the Canary, you've got whatever the calling's going to do, you've got the Blight stuff. That's 4 things already that need stuff. Then you've got the Titans because they made a fucking DLC of that. Oh my Jesus fucking Christ! So you got 5 things going off, and all that's
brand new city, a brand new culture. Yeah, everything is just.
We got Twinter, and bear in mind
that Hawk.
But I'm having my rant. I'm having my rant.
And then at the heart of it all, bad writing.
Let Hawk rant.
Right. But the thing is, you've got all that coming along, and then you've got to create a brand new character who has no idea about any of the past. So you've got to have all the info dump from 3 previous games plus an expansion pack dumped onto you. I mean, if I have to meet
you can't be expected to have played the previous games.
Yeah, but if I have to meet Alistair for the 4th time, for the first time as a character, I'm going to fucking murder somebody. I shouldn't have to keep being introduced to these same characters. Hi, I'm Alistair. You might remember me as the King of Ferelden. We've not met before. I'm like, oh my god, I played 3 fucking games of this. I've met you 3 times.
Imagine doing that in Mass Effect.
Oh my god, hi, I'm Tali. Let me explain the Quarians over and over and over again. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Do you remember my exposition dump from the last game? At the game before.
Oh my god.
And then at the heart of all of it, BioWare's bad writing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, oh, Jesus Christ. So I can
at least BioWare was creative for a time.
At one point.
However, Dragon Age ending in Dragon Age 2. That's my headcanon. The whole thing's over. There's a Mage Templar war. We don't know how it ends. Tough shit. game's over. Oh well,
Yeah.
series is over.
You know what
That's
I just
it. That's
noticed?
my headcanon.
Franchise is over.
You just described the plot creep that Star Wars had under Lucas. Every movie had more plots going on in parallel.
Yeah.
Lucas was still better than Disney.
Yeah.
Well, that's not hard.
Well, we can't.
That's not hard. At least it was. At least the Disney movies.
At least Lucas tried.
Contrary to the Disney movies, Lucas movies all had plots.
Yeah, they had effort.
Even Phantom Menace had a plot. I'm not so sure about the Disney movies. We might need to discuss that.
Well,
Okay,
anyway.
At least Lucas made movies.
Anyway, his category of fanboys were a bit limited, and I think he combined the first two. Yeah. So that's fine. You can still critique them from that vantage. I just want to know how well, because again, it comes down to argument, and what's the point of the problem with the adaptation that you're talking about. So,
all right, we had a video.
Yeah.
I distracted.
Whisp, are you completely
lost for a moment what you were talking about?
Like too much to drink there?
Oh, it's like I was just waiting for someone to finally bring us back to the video. I'm just like, fuck it.
Yeah, well.
I'm getting a drink.
Anyway, go for it. Yeah,
nice
cool.
day.
Okay, let's go.
I'm not gonna stop you.
Surprisingly, DuckTales is the one that most overtly has to say about these toxic fans, while also laying into the recent movie trends that inadvertently led to its dominance in the pop culture discourse. Primarily through its overt critique on the Nolan Batman trilogy, or at least what the Nolan trilogy ultimately inspired. See, it might be hard for people to remember now, but Batman Begins was a big game changer for comic book films back when it came out in 2005. It was the first comic movie most of us saw that took itself extremely seriously. Especially after the last Batman movie.
The Batman voice still sucked.
Hold on. It's the first comic book movie that took itself really seriously.
Blade?
Well,
Blade had a bit of misplaced comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Batman Begins has misplaced comedy. I mean, look at Christian Bale's voice.
Yes! Agreed!
Yeah, but there was still jokes.
I think he meant a realistic. They took.
Okay, a realistic version of it. Because if you can say, it was dark and gritty, 89, and Batman Returns.
Sam Raimi. Yeah. I mean, Sam Raimi kind of did a good job with that in Spider-Man. Comic humor and blatant Evil Dead references aside.
Yeah. The first X-Men movie took itself seriously.
I mean, I can argue that. I mean, I'm willing to argue that movie took itself a bit too seriously with how much those movies still want to distance themselves from the comics. You know, the whole scene making fun. The whole scene. The whole scene making fun of the original yellow costumes from the comics. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. So no. 2005 as well, and it's like, okay, you had Batman and Robin, okay.
Okay, Iron Man
we'll
was
give you that as, we'll give you the
not even Batman Begins. Spider-Man 2 the year earlier.
Yeah.
That one's a really good. Yeah, that's a really damn good movie.
That horrific hospital scene. Does everyone forget?
It did. Well, I'll be honest, it was a good Evil Dead callback.
Yeah, I know, but it was still a bit like, okay.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying how much it took itself seriously was 100%. But where it mattered, it did take itself seriously.
Yeah, I'm just saying there was that scene in that, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're just gonna do this then. Okay, right. I guess we are just gonna massacre people on screen. Okay. This is a superhero movie, ladies and gentlemen. You brought your children to see this.
I mean, dude, imagine that actually happening in real life. It would be horrifying.
Yeah,
no joke.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the point is that even as late as Spider-Man 2, before Batman Begins, like even Spider-Man 2, where it mattered the most, it definitely took itself seriously.
Chat brings up Hulk from 2003.
Yeah.
That well, I mean that.
What series was that?
I mean, within its own universe, it did take the events that occurred seriously, but as a movie, it's not all that great. Not all that great.
Yeah, but that's not whether the movie's great isn't the question.
Whether it takes itself
The argument is first comic book movie that took itself seriously.
Yeah.
I would say no. I would say Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie.
Let's just say he should have used the word realistically. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Movie was that one. And people fell in love with the dark, gritty take on the Caped Crusader, but Ducktales paints this interpretation in the negative. Because while it was definitely revolutionary for its time, it also positions the Nolan films were less about doing the character of Batman justice, and more about the director wanting to put their own spin on the character.
Oh no. You also have to take the Zack Snyder influences into account, which go a bit over the top with the everything is dark and gritty nonsense.
Well, if he's just going to say it's just going to be the director's desire to do whatever they want, it's like, yeah, you could say the same with Tim Burton's 1989.
Yeah.
He's going to do whatever he wants. So
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which I just mentioned.
Right.
It's just that Nolan was the start of this. The DuckTales thing, to really hit the point home, would have had to go with Zack Snyder. However, since Darkwing is more a Batman adaptation clone thing, satire, homage.
I'd say homage, yeah.
Yeah. Going with Nolan makes more sense in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Although, if we look at especially Zack Snyder's Justice League, the way it's DuckTales makes fun of the Darkwing Duck reboot comes across way more like Zack Snyder.
Yes,
and it's obviously a satire. So,
which maybe that may be the case. Simply because the DuckTales does do satire in that moment, which means it exaggerates what Nolan did, which looks exactly like what Zack Snyder's doing. So Zack Snyder is the parody of Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
He's a living parody. Wonderful.
And anti-Semitic, apparently. I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, I have my grievances with the Nolan movies, but even I couldn't give credit where it's due.
Anyway.
Where'd that come from?
What?
The anti-Semitism.
Oh, it's Maggie May. She's just...
Yeah.
She's anti-Semite?
Yeah. Yes, Maggie May.
Didn't Maggie prove at some point that she's anti-Semitic?
Well, no, she just doesn't like people who don't like other people, like herself. I don't know. It's weird. She's a weird fellow. I couldn't explain it.
She's irrational. You can't find logic.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's a.
We can't
say she's a woman. That's not an answer to her rationality. This is super.
Hawk, this is not just normal woman level irrationality.
Yeah, it's more than that.
This is a special thing.
Yeah, this is what I mean. She's like Wonder Woman levels of irrationality. It's like, oh my god.
It borders on schizoid nonsense.
Oh yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Ultimately lead the character into losing all of his original intention and purpose, and most importantly, forget one of the character's primary audiences: children. Now, I don't personally believe that the Nolan films lost the point of Batman necessarily. I actually think they found a pretty good balance between.
I see. This is the point I was making earlier with, or hinting at earlier with the animated series of Batman. That's for an older age group of children,
but still for children.
Yes. Well, you could say for adolescents.
I don't see how this isn't for kids.
No. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, no, hang on, hold on. Yeah, kids can watch this. I'm trying to think of anything that's really, really, really like. Kids would probably get bored more likely with stuff because I'll be honest.
Slow.
The problem with Nolan's Batman films is they're fucking really, really, really slow, and it's almost like he's like, I'm doing a Batman film, but I want Batman to be in it as little as possible.
Or the first 40 minutes of was the third Batman Returns?
Yeah, Rises.
He's on a cane. He doesn't do anything. He's not even in the suit.
In Rises, it's like you have 2 hours, and it's like you've got 30 minutes of Batman. Enjoy.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, and it's people talking about existential crises, and I'm like, oh my, I live an existential crisis every day. I don't want to watch one in me fucking Batman movie. It's like,
says Batman.
Honestly, I wouldn't know at which age group of children to place Tim Burton's Batman.
Well,
I watched it when I was like,
I think that one's definitely like teens.
It's a combination of sappy stuff from the 70s or the 60s. And comic bookdom of the 80s.
Well, the primary roots of the Tim Burton Batman is the Golden Age. The more the original gritty stuff.
The way it looks is a mix of adult gritty stuff and Home Alone.
In a way, yeah.
Okay, then.
That's what it struck me as when I was a kid. Like this is adult stuff. It's boring, and then there's Home Alone level stuff.
Well,
yeah.
Mixed with this weird Tim Burton aesthetic, where I also don't know what age group to place it with.
Well, in this example, he's sort of saying he doesn't understand Nolan, yet he does. It's like, okay, which one is it? Like, what are you trying to say about the movies that Nolan made? Are they for kids or not? Like, what do you want?
Well, it's sweet, but it's also salty.
Anyway.
Yeah, Reese's.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Emotional elements that resonate with fans while also doing a different interpretation. That being said, it's hard to deny the films that would follow in its footsteps would suffer from the very problems Ducktales is critiquing. The Snyder films in particular attempted to make their characters darker, brooding, and deliberately not for kids in an attempt to recapture the Nolan
Watchmen
formula.
is that deliberately.
And yes, I'm sorry guys, but I gotta pick on these movies again because they have their own weird toxic fan culture and they are just so damn representative of exactly what I'm talking about. I promise
you haven't talked about it yet.
Tell us.
Because Batman vs. Superman in particular was less about Batman or Superman and more about a director projecting his own ideas of the world and people through a very cynical lens that assumes that darker means deeper and therefore better. But the film is so preoccupied with its views on hypermasculinity, Ayn Rand-lean philosophies.
What?
Okay, this is what I don't understand. With the basic critique of what's wrong with those movies, you agree with the people you call anti-SJWs. Yet now you bring up absolute ideological nonsense. Who brainwashed you? These aren't ideas you came up with on your own. These aren't assessments you were able to make on your own. These are all terms and buzzwords that someone gave you.
Yeah.
And you're regurgitating them. You don't understand what you're saying. I bet you don't understand what you're saying.
Can you find the hyper-masculinity in Batman v Superman as well as the Ayn Randyism of objectivism in Batman?
Yeah,
come on.
I can. There's that statue of Superman. Doesn't it have like a world near him?
Oh, like Atlas, like Atlas Shrugged. Oh god.
Yeah, that's it. That's literally it. Since every single person who knows Atlas Shrugged just knows it for that statue thing, because
Andrew Ryan did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
This guy must have had a really bad professor for media studies or something. And
I don't think he had a professor. I think he watched YouTube videos from BreadTube.
Oh yeah, they would have talked about Ayn Rand and frickin' Batman v Superman. Who the hell made that video?
Yeah, these people haven't read Ayn Rand as much as they haven't read Marx or Engels, as much as they haven't read other socialists, as much as they haven't read.
No, socialist rant.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, don't jinx it.
Last time, not yet.
Okay, I'll just tuck my Charmander.
Anyway, I want to know the objectivity of Batman v Superman from the lens of Ayn Rand. What the fuck? Yeah.
Good, we skipped that first
fan of Ayn Rand. Look it up. And the idea.
Look what up, you moron.
Completely fails to understand what makes these
you know how to use Google.
icons they are and why they mean so much to kids and adults. I mean, the fact there's an R-rated version of any film with Superman demonstrates how there is clear lack of interest in actually understanding the character.
It's not R-rated.
No,
What? It's not. It's
there are versions of Superman in comics. They've been that way for decades. What's wrong with
the
making,
comics, yes.
What's wrong with making a video of that or a movie of that?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is that good or bad? Like just tell why is that good?
I mean, All-Star Superman. Hello.
There's all kinds of murderous rages Superman goes on. There's all kinds of crazy stories where Batman trips out and loses his mind and does crazy shit. So
Oh my God,
it wouldn't be
like
it wouldn't be this gritty world, this
Oh,
horrible
yeah.
world with too much crime.
the Frank
If
Miller.
that wouldn't be happening at some point.
Yeah, I was just about to say Dark Knight Returns with the Frank Miller's, because Superman's in that. That's where the fight comes from.
brutal
so, I know it's
killing.
Batman.
Joker just
Yeah.
murders people. Yeah, it's all kinds of gore and violence.
Oh, there's an R-rated version of that. Yeah, Superman's in it. Yeah, Superman shares a world with Batman.
Yeah, I mean, you can make your pure children cartoons with where all is just fun little plots with Superman. Those cartoons exist, but that is not all that is Superman. That is a one facet. That's the nice stories. The really tough ones, they're long running comic plots.
See, there's nothing wrong with these stories where we have violence and sex for comic book stories or whatever. The problem is the writing doesn't match what that level of maturity should be with. And there's this disconnect of like, is this for kids? Because it's really dumb, but there's also like people dying. So I was like, wait a second. Who is this for?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And that is okay. Parts of that, if done right, are okay and even good to have in children shows, in children movies, because that's something that children also have to learn to cope with.
I know.
If we keep that from them, they just grow up like SJWs.
But it feels like you're watching Transformers, but instead of Transformers, it's Superman, and he's murdering tens of
What
thousands.
Transformers?
Well,
I'd rather take the Green Lantern CGI show that I think only had one season.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, because it was actually good. I enjoyed that. It had well written characters, and Green Lantern himself was more put to the side because, well, he's the goody two shoes perfect superhero. He just comes in at the relevant moments where things are too bad. But the show mainly focused on all other characters that were flawed and still had a path to go. They still had their heroes' journeys to go. And there was some rather dark stories there.
I just feel like the Hal Jordan from that CG animated series, which was a direct response to when Hal Jordan was Parallax in the comics. Call it a hunch.
Okay.
yeah. All right.
But because people tend to associate dark with X and brooding with deep, largely because of the Nolan films, you'll see a wide range of defenses for these darker interpretations, acting as if people who didn't like it just didn't get it, because it's so deep, you guys. But I'm getting pissy. I told myself I wasn't gonna get pissy. The point is that these characters are meant to be inspirations for the next generation on how to be brave, how to be strong, how to conquer fear, how to inspire hope. Those are all elements that kids aspire to be because of these characters. And to abandon all of that for a cynical, joyless Superman who broods and a Batman who kills with impunity just feels reckless.
Yeah, but now he's on Zack Snyder, not on Nolan.
Contrived from making them go against type, it does so by sacrificing the characters' very souls. Because, like it or not, these characters are meant to be enjoyed by children and adults alike. And to make it dark for seemingly the sake of it, not only just betrays the intent and purpose of the characters on screen, but also permanently alters the way that children are supposed to see their favorite heroes.
Okay, so
Snyder,
wait,
isn't it?
so he's making the argument from adaptation, but he's also wrapping it around, well, it comes from comic books, which is for kids. It's like, well, wait, you can make comic books for adults. And there are comic books for adults of these iterations of Batman. So he's blinded by his bias and he doesn't even know it. And it's like, dude, do you know what you're discussing here? You're discussing bad films. And he's like, they're bad, and it's because of these reasons. Like, no, it's not those reasons. They're bad because they're poorly put together. They're poorly written.
They're bad because they're bad.
There's nothing wrong with a dark Superman or a dark Batman and having them fight together. We did that. It's in a comic book. It's a good comic book. It's a very good comic book, in fact.
Just need to write it well.
And you just need to adapt that properly. And they didn't do that. They screwed. I don't know how you screw it up with a comic book gives you the storyboard. It's like, here's a panel.
Yeah.
Storyboard 1.
Yeah.
Here's panel 2. Storyboard 2. Oh my God. It matches.
Copy.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
look
literally
at the
copy
current.
it.
Look at the current Dune movie, for example. They followed the book, and it's a good watch.
I haven't seen it. I don't know.
It's what if you like the book, you like that.
Well, the book is there's 3 books. So it's pretty. Well, there's more than 3 books now, but it's even the original. Was it the '79 edition? What the hell is that version of Dune when it came out?
What, movie or book version?
The movie version of Dune was a condensed book 1, and then there was the TV miniseries, which was the condensed of the 2 books, I think, and a little bit of Children.
That was okay-ish, but no, the current one is parts of the first book mainly. Again, but done well, not in this weird thing that what was his name?
David Lynch.
Yeah, David Lynch. What David Lynch made. It just give it a watch. I just say give it a watch. It's worth your time, and it's a movie that takes itself seriously.
Right.
Doesn't have a bunch of stupid jokes nowadays. It's like movies were made when people took movies seriously.
Well, that's the thing with adaptation, or the adaptation argument, rather, is that to appreciate Dune, you could be a fan of those 2 other series or iterations, or you could just be a reader and you read those books a long time ago and say, you know what? Anything to translate Dune to the big screen is amazing. And you're going to appreciate for whatever you get.
Smart, but the point is, and maybe I should have said this earlier. I think it's the main actor and the director, writer, were real big fans of the book when they were kids. It was a defining thing in their lives, and they were running around on set with the book. And when they had questions about how to do a scene, how to do a detail, they were looking into the books to get it right. These people care about making an accurate, authentic adaptation, and that is something that's been missing for so long at this point.
And it's fascinating because if you guys know anything about the Dune books, like, you have giant semi-worm creatures in jars that control space-time. It's just like the craziest shit. And there was that that wannabe director who wanted the Dune franchise, or wanted to make a Dune movie called Zerwowski's Dune. I can't remember his name.
Jodorowsky.
Yeah, like, his vision was just like, it was just over the top. Like, this is probably not the proper interpretation of Dune.
Yeah, he did put his own spin on it. What he would have made would have resembled parts of Dune, but it would also be something out of an LSD dream that goes on for a week.
Imagine if everyone was on drugs and you read Dune, you'd be like, whoa, this is far out there.
And on the plus side, or at least on the interesting side of it, what that project that never came to fruition produced is what informed the Hollywood ever since. Like over half a century of Hollywood movies all took bits and pieces from this project. Art ideas, scenery, props.
That's how we got H.R. Geiger to be so popular with the Alien series. And
yes. If you saw Prometheus, didn't you?
No.
You remember the big dome-shaped building on the planet they got to?
Really?
Yeah, that exact thing with the skull on top.
Oh, really?
Was that exact thing, that exact building. And I mean, the exact 100% building, the dome with the skull on top, was planned to be in Sodorovsky's Dune the Palace of Harkonnen.
Wow. I don't know if you guys saw that. I do remember seeing that in the documentary.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like this head comes out.
To this day, we still get elements from Sodorovsky's Dune in today's movies. Because Hollywood is still feeding off of that. Even though the movie never got made, it spawns so much creative stuff. It's amazing. Look up the documentary Sodorovsky's Dune. It's worth a watch. It will blow your mind. Even though it's I think it's with English subtitles, because Sodorovsky's speaking French for the most part, I think.
Oh well, I'm not interested then.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Well, it's worth a watch.
Yeah, this is a very niche audience of people who likes, like, we're talking about the big sci-fi books. I think Dune was probably number 4 at the time of series, and for that to be turned into a movie, now we're getting the Foundation series.
Really? Someone's trying to do that?
We have is it Netflix? No, is it Amazon? I think they are taking Asimov and turning it into a miniseries, which is
no, not Netflix. It's gonna be shit.
Wild. Apparently, it's very good. Apparently, it's very. I'm gonna wait till it's finished, but I'm impressed that someone took the reins because that's number one. That's like, if you're gonna do anything, to translate that is tough, and it's gonna take many years. But hey, if it works out, I'd love to watch it. Anyway, fantastic stuff. Adaptations and having niche audiences is very unique. Glad it's becoming mainstream, though. Anyway, Giga Chad. Thank you, Giga Chad. Thanks for the tip. If the alternative is to be a corporate shill, then I'll be a toxic fanboy and wear the badge with pride. Also, corpos, stop making media about toxic fans. Stephen King already did it with Misery, and no other story of that kind has beaten it. Misery is a little different when you think of
So it's Stephen King's fault.
Well,
Misery's not really toxic fans. It's more fucking insanity.
Yeah, that is obsessive, crazy women who
break legs.
Yeah, amongst other things.
So it really is Stephen King's fault.
Yeah. well, yeah. But to get back onto the video, isn't he arguing now about like his own sort of headcanon stuff? His own purist idea.
As I said, as I sort of said before, he's using his own bias to say, "Oh, well, this is only for certain adults and certain kids," and my interpretation of an adaptation, as opposed to an adaptation can be whatever it needs to be from a certain.
I'm still not sure about his definition of toxic fans. Right now, he sounds like one.
Almost, yeah, almost. I wouldn't give it to him yet, but he's getting there. Like, oh, my interpretation is the better one. Like, yep, yeah, he's getting there. Anyway.
That's fine.
On the other hand, there is the danger of being too much of a slave to the source material that you can fail to fulfill the same purpose the character is supposed to convey.
I disagree.
In DuckTales, that is represented by Starling's desire to put himself back in the film, as well as Launchpad's initial desire to help him.
No, that's a plot. That's not an adaptation. If you're talking about an adaptation, it would be they took all the episodes from the original DuckTales and just remastered them and made them like 3D or something. And you'd be like, this doesn't look good or whatever. So that's not quite the same thing.
It's like, it's just like, oh, this isn't an adaptation. This is like they're making their own story. This isn't Cowboy Bebop. That's an adaptation, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah, that is currently in the news.
I've heard good things about it.
Which one?
I heard it's not as shit as people thought, which is already at 0.
No. Honestly, it helped my friend with their insomnia.
Oh.
Wait, which adaptation?
Netflix of Cowboy Bebop. It helped my friend with insomnia, yeah.
Oh, he could finally sleep?
No, he killed himself.
Oh, did you?
Well, that is a form of sleep.
Actually, it posted a link to someone's blog post. Where the hell was it? Oh, it was discussingfilm.com. Cowboy Bebop review, not a total disaster. I'm like, okay.
Not a total disaster.
I doubt that. I doubt that very much.
No, it's like it's a bit of a disaster, but it's not a total one.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love that title.
What the cameras had? The cameras were on tripods.
I've been told that it looks very amateurish. It looks like a YouTube short video or something.
Well, we saw that from the trailers.
Yeah, we did. The CGI was like, oh, here's the green screen right there.
It looks like it looks like a Channel Awesome production.
Oh.
Yeah, the lighting was already so bad in the trailers.
The acting's so wooden as well. I watched a teaser for it, and honestly, it's almost like it's almost like every single person who's appearing in it has never done acting lessons.
I feel like a cheap Japanese studio would have made it better.
Well, it felt like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World with all those effects in that one release trailer. And everyone's like, oh, it's so cool. It's like, no, that's not Bebop. What are you doing?
But that thing is like, what was it? We've got a bounty. I've got him. No, that's not the bounty. I've got him. That's still not the bounty. But it's said so flat and dry, like no one's got any character. And it just feels like everyone's just reading off of a script. And I'm just like, oh my god.
I got the bounty. No, that's cleaning paper.
I got like secondhand cringe from watching it because it's like, oh geez, it's like even when I was doing amateur dramatics in my teenage years, it's like we didn't deliver lines this bad. This is like, oh Jesus Christ.
And really, I'm trying to remember a scene in the original anime where they forgot what the bounty looked like.
Yeah,
it's like that's worth $1 million. Wait, is it the guy with the blonde hair? No, what do you?
Yeah.
How can you screw that up?
Is it this random mustache guy that I kick in a really awkward? It's just
kick him in the balls.
No, if you watch the teaser trailer, because it keeps coming up on my Facebook, and I just keep catching it, and it's like, oh.
Mark says it right. Mark says it right. It looks great for a high school project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was like even the fan-made Bebop films, I can't remember the guy's name. Something Vader. That's his YouTube channel. Like he does. Oh. I don't know his full YouTube.
Is it the guy that did the? Is it the guy that did the Vader short film too, or is it someone else?
No, that's Star Wars Fury.
No, he did Bebop fan films, and they're really good. They're funny because he just dances. There's all these scenes where he just starts dancing for no reason. It's great. Very funny. The Fae looks like Fae, aside from the brightly colored hair, which it looks fake, but that's the same color. And it's like, hey, it's Fae. It looks like Fae. The boots, the shoes, the outfit, the halter top, whatever. It's like, yeah, that's how you should dress. That's Fae. Why couldn't they do that in go to a freaking Halloween store, ask the tailor, hey, can you make this outfit? If you don't have it, it's like, thanks, done. That's all it took.
Outdone by fans.
It's sad. It's
outdone by toxic fans.
A black Spike is better than John Cho. That's how good this guy was.
Yeah, but I was seeing John Cho's acting, and I'm like, mate, you've been in like.
How dare you not like our progressive version?
Yeah, but it just feels like he's just there. He's like, I am not the right person for this job. It's like,
and he was right.
I read online that he thought he was too attractive to play Spike, and I was like, dude,
okay.
Mr. 47-year-old.
You, Mr. Cho, you are correct. You are not the right person to play Spike, but that is not the reason.
Yeah,
you're not. Yeah, sorry to burst your bubble, mate, but
I know there's the stigma.
You're a strong four
of women or men who are Asian who look a lot younger, even though they're 40 or 50. I know there's a thing like that, but sir, I can tell you're not 40. Okay.
You didn't get the magical gene.
Yeah, whatever that. Gene. There's this weird thing with women who are Asian. Once they get past like 70, then they actually look old. But until like 68, 69.
No, 60.
Yeah, they look like they're 42 or something. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the same with the men. There's a famous thing with an NHK news reporter.
Oh.
And oh yeah, famous meme. And I don't know how old he was. I think somewhere in his 50s or something. And he still looked like 29.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, within 1 year, I think it was just within 3 to 6 months, he turned ancient.
Yeah, I know.
He turned from 29 to 60.
One bad bong hit
What?
or something. Yeah. No, it's funny.
Oh yeah.
It's changed over 1 year. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
weird.
and suddenly you have to. Oh, I can't play the hero anymore. Now I have to play the wise old man.
Yeah. Well.
Oh well.
Imagine that happens while you are shooting a movie.
Ooh.
That suddenly you get your age transformation.
The real one, not makeup.
Maybe Asian people are insects.
What?
Anyway, let's keep going.
They have the transmutation.
Let's
thing
keep going.
That's why. That's why.
Wisp,
That's why
let's keep going.
That's why Pokemon,
Wisp, you okay there?
Wisp, your German is showing again.
Anyway,
People are like an insect. Okay.
let's go.
See, Starling's motivation might be ultimately selfish in nature, but it's also symbolic of many fans' desire to keep their adaptation an exact copy of the version they remember the most, because that's what they think works the best or most appealing.
Like you want your superheroes to be child friendly.
Yeah.
So you're exactly like this person you're about to rip on.
Wow.
That's crazy, that is.
Wow, it's like he's a whole other character. How does that make sense?
Wow.
I just... okay.
It's like just someone's interpretation of the character. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, it's not my favorite thing anymore. Okay, yeah.
It's a nostalgia. Because surely if you keep every little detail exactly as it was from the source you love, that'll make it perfect, right? But as we established in a previous editorial, that's not always the way to go either.
Why?
Because if you spend your entire film focusing on fan service and obsessing over every...
It's not fan service. It's knowing the source material. If Batman had a grappling hook that was shaped like a web, I'd be a bit concerned.
detail, you can also lose the soul of whatever you are. And that's exactly what happens to Starling. He becomes so obsessed with putting himself in the Darkwing Duck movie and making exactly how he would have done it, that he ends up turning into the villain, a walking embodiment of fans' toxic obsession.
Yeah, but that's stupid. It's just goofy shit. It makes no sense.
You're like...
Oh, my mic was off. I mean, he at least had a point. As I was typing. Sometimes I think of turning it off. He's the original actor. He at least has some credence as to why he wants to do his original thing. The people, however, who act like he does in this cartoon are the SJWs who want to change everything to some crap.
Yeah, but no one...
They are the toxic fans. Or rather, the toxic pseudo-fans, the non-fans.
Yeah, but the thing is, nobody demanded Michael Keaton come back for Batman Begins.
Right. But imagine that Mark Hamill was actually had some input into his character in the writer's room.
Yeah.
You know what, Hawk? Not for Batman Begins, but he's going to come back for the Flash movie.
Yeah, I know that, but what I'm saying is they've decided that. What I'm saying is there wasn't nutty fans going, well, I'm not going to watch Batman Begins because Michael Keaton's not Batman.
Well,
I mean, heck, even in '89, when Michael Keaton was Batman, no one really demanded Adam West come back.
Well, I would say if J.J. Abrams got the top three actors they brought back from Mothballs to be in Episode 7, so what do you want to do? What's the most fun you could think of? Like, can you imagine being Mark Hamill and sorry, the names escape me, playing
Harrison Ford,
Carrie Fisher, and just saying what would really work for you? Like, what do you want to do? What do you think the fans want to see? You know, you have your ear to the ground. You are the people. Tell us what you want to do. We'll write a story around that, and make it,
And after Harrison Ford gets angry with his alcohol and throws a glass at
Harrison Ford might not be the best person to ask, but I'm sure he has some.
I think.
ask the question. You can ask the question.
Kill me, I don't care.
What do you think the fans would want, and what do you think happens to the character? What would you want to do with the character? These three questions.
And I think,
and then you can get something that you can work something out.
Because the actors are the ones who are delivering everything, and they know the characters better than anyone else. They've lived them for all their life.
Hopefully.
I think Mark Hamill has a pretty good
method. But I'm just instantly thinking of Patrick Stewart, who never understood Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh, but that's... I mean, I don't know what happened to Picard, the show, but that's...
That is not... If you listen to the nonsense Patrick Stewart spouts on stages, at fan events and stuff, the guy is a bloody communist.
Well,
he hasn't understood. He hasn't understood Star Trek at all.
Oh, hold on. No. Patrick Stewart used to understand, but something after Nemesis, I just don't think he cares. I think Nemesis just.
Interestingly enough, remember that scene where behind the scenes where he says, "I really like driving cars, and I wanted to have a scene where I drove a car." You're like, what? What does this have to do with anything? So they made a freaking dune buggy.
It's just like that. Yeah, it's like that. It's like the fuck, my dude.
Yeah, with a turret on the back.
I think at that point though, because Patrick Stewart had fallen out with the director, the deal had fallen out with the director at that point. They really did not give a shit about that movie at all, and it was just like they just didn't care. They honestly just did not care about.
Yeah, so you need actors that actually care about the characters they play.
No, but the thing is, that movie was so badly done. Like the guy who was doing it didn't understand Star Trek at all.
Which one?
Nemesis.
Nemesis.
Well, because they'd fallen out because the studio didn't have Jonathan Frakes. Because he'd done First Contact and Insurrection.
I mean, we can't agree that First Contact is the best movie.
Well, of the Next Generation, yeah. I mean,
the Next Generation, yes, because nothing beats Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, but the cast got on with Jonathan Frakes because obviously they'd worked with him for years as writer and he'd even directed episodes, so he had an idea of how to do stuff. Then the new director of Nemesis, I can't remember his name. His name escapes me. But didn't understand anything about it. I don't know his name. I can't remember his name. I can just see his face, and it's just he's a nobody. And it's just a bit like they just didn't really want to work with him because they wanted to work with Jonathan Frakes. So it didn't get off to the best start, to be honest.
Then we also have the extra thing for Star Wars that there were script outlines by Lucas for an actual sequel trilogy, where Luke is at that point in the story.
And then the first chance they had, they threw it all away.
Yeah, they could have made something with that, and it would have been at least stories.
Yeah, my first thing to ask, coming back to the point that Smud made with the actors and actresses and everything like that, would be, who do you think is going to die first in this cast? So let's get their story finished quickest. Because you're all in your 70s and 80s.
There's a way to kill people off, so that would not be an issue. That would be a mature discussion. So
no, because I'd be going because listen, the last thing we want to do is very embarrassing CGI and deleted footage from other movies to try and meld some sort of story where you die of heartache or whatever, distracting your son. Say that'd be embarrassing way to end the characters. Be very, very embarrassing.
Oh, you mean where you revive the character of whom the actor actually died during filmmaking, so that you don't have the character dead when you don't have the actor anymore?
Yeah, it's one of those where I
wonder why you would do that.
Yeah,
nobody does that. That's just dumb. Come on, nobody does that.
I just ask which actor, actress is a heavy cocaine addict, and go, could you possibly not die somewhere?
Oh boy. Well, That would have been fun.
Yeah, but I would have asked Mark Hamill, because he does seem to have, as much as he's a knobhead on Twitter and he's quite clearly a nutty leftist in most political things, he does understand Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
So I will give him that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue.
Which brings us to Launchpad and Mallard, the two actual fans. Launchpad is presented from the beginning as what you might initially assume is the obsessive fanboy. But in reality, it's an implant for the audience.
That's already the problem. These actual fans are the types of fans that you would call toxic fans. That's the types of fans that the SJWs call the toxic fans. That is the weird thing here. Let's see where you're going with this.
To discover what is actually important about these adaptations. Launchpad starts out on Starling's side, thinking he wants the Darkwing Duck movie to be exactly what he remembers from his childhood. But it isn't until he meets and talks with Mallard that he comes to a realization. The details of the character, the origins, the story, the aesthetics, none of that actually matters.
The aesthetics do matter. Depends on what you're doing. The aesthetics of Star Wars do matter. That is what made The Mandalorian so promising.
To say that these details don't matter is kind of like saying, yeah, you could just put Superman in the future, and he's electrical powered, and he doesn't fly, he teleports. And it's like, wait, what? Yeah, but he's just as heroic, he's just as nice, he's just as lawful. It's like, no, not the same.
That was always stupid. Let's be honest.
Well,
that was always stupid.
Yeah, the aesthetics and stuff don't matter, and okay. So
in a comic?
Let's just put Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum in a room together and say it's a sequel to Jurassic Park, but there's no dinosaurs and there's no anything. It's just those two people. It doesn't matter.
No. Better. The dinosaurs in the new Jurassic Park movie all have feathers.
So if you're doing a visual medium or whatever, yes, the aesthetic, the visual aesthetic does matter. That's a given. Same with acting, the tone, the voice, the amplitude, all that stuff very much matters. That's why when you hire a guy to play a young Han Solo, you gotta sound like the young Han Solo would sound.
Han Solo.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe look a little bit like him.
Looking would be good.
Like you would imagine. You can't just take someone who has a two different facial structure, for example.
Yeah.
Because that kind of consistency is relevant for immersion.
Yeah.
You want your audience to be immersed in the thing you make, right. And that is why look-alike actors are important.
That's why you don't have a Batman story be a nice, uplifting romance novel. You just don't. The tone is off. You don't do that.
I'm just imagining him saying all this. I'm like, okay, the next Batman movie, instead of being dark and brooding, he's just wearing a Klan hood, and he solves crimes in Louisiana.
He wears white.
The next Batman is going to be a CalArts cartoon with Thundercats jokes.
No.
Jokes.
He said the aesthetics are irrelevant.
Yeah. Oh my God, a Batman, but it's like Rick and Morty.
I'd rather
Joker's just destroyed Ace Chemicals.
I'd rather burn in hell than that version exist.
Oh my God.
I'd rather watch Batman and Spider-Man again.
Someone's got to make
Batman and what?
That'd be great.
Batman and Spider-Man. Don't know Batman and Spider-Man?
Spider-Man, I don't know.
Batman and Spider-Man is a great cartoon made by one person.
I'm sure
it's a fan-made thing. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fan-made thing. It's not the actual Batman or Spider-Man. It's just absolute nonsensical.
I mean, Superman and Spider-Man had an official crossover decades ago. Why not Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, you got to keep propagating this stupid rivalry that the fans have between the two.
Yeah, no one cares.
All right.
Everyone just enjoys both characters.
No, what makes it worse is that there's people that do care, but we're never going to see it.
Oh, well.
What actually matters is what the character made you feel. And that.
Oh, no.
No, made you feel. Rewind. He didn't
What?
say that.
Go back.
Go away.
Yeah,
This is
rewind
this
a
is
little
just
bit.
he
Yeah, go back like
has
5
been
seconds.
brainwashed. He has been completely brainwashed. It is okay. This Ducktales, it puts me off. It doesn't make me feel good. That means it's bad, right? That's the logic here. That's justified. I don't need any other justification.
But yeah, but his
I
argument,
only need to say it makes me feel bad.
his
so it's
argument
bad.
is what's the effect of everything? It doesn't matter how you got to that effect. What matters is the effect. So it's like, okay, dark and gritty makes me feel sort of creepy and sad. Well, if you just change the aesthetic to a romance novel where everyone's colorful and happy, I still want to feel sad. You're like, wait a second, how do I feel sad when everyone's happy? How does that work? What are you talking
But
about?
it's also a bit like it's dark and gritty. Yeah, that makes me feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. I like dark and gritty.
Maybe if you're the Joker, you feel that way.
I know, but this is like someone punching you in the face going, well, so long as you're happy getting punched in the face, it's okay, right? You're like, what?
I'm not happy being punched in the face. Why would you do this? Not punching me.
No, Hawk, you're wrong. You just have to imagine that you like being punched in the face, and then it's good.
Imagine it's what you want, being punched in the face, and then how does it make you feel? And you're like, I'm annoyed and angry. Please stop punching me.
No, I said that first. How does it make you feel? Ow.
Your feelings are wrong.
How does it make you feel?
Your feelings are toxic. You're
If the first thing I feel when I get punched in the face is ow, I'm still wrong.
You have to unlearn your pain and educate yourself to enjoy it.
Oh my god! Unlearn your pain. Unlearn your pain privilege. You white.
You can't unlearn. You can't. I'm sorry, but you can't unlearn ouch.
Yeah, unlearn the word ouch.
Yeah, so,
No, not even just the whole concept of ouch in general.
So you
You can't erase that.
You can't just change aesthetics and tone and pacing and plot and hope to get the same effect. It does not work that way. We have genre and content of the genre for a reason. And that's why we have writers who like writing a certain genre and don't touch other genres because that's what they know. They can't do the same thing in another genre. It doesn't work. So,
Nope.
This man is, well,
Stupid.
I would say he's ignorant. I think he doesn't know what he's talking about. So,
Yeah, I think ignorant is the right word.
yeah.
Yeah.
Character, the origins, the story, the aesthetics, none of that
Fair.
actually matters. What actually matters is what the character made you
Oh.
feel. And
Wrong.
that brings us to Into the Spider-Verse, which
Okay.
has a lingering message throughout the film of anyone can wear the mask. And while many audience members have taken this to mean that they themselves can be the hero they so choose to be, there is a subtext of the story that often goes overlooked. Now, is it possible I'm way overthinking this and this is in no way, shape, or form the intent? Probably.
Yes.
But just because it might not have been the intention does not mean the interpretation is without merit. Plus, it's my show and I talk about whatever I want, so here we go.
Doesn't make
As
you
I
right.
mentioned Before, Toxic Spider-Man fans tend to be a bit on the picky side, favoring their version of the character and shouting down anyone that disagrees with them. They will often nitpick every little thing about a version of the character they don't like to prove how the creators didn't get Spider-Man, or betrays the character, or something or another. And while that might be the case for some adaptations, see my aforementioned examples, there is yet to be an adaptation of Spider-Man that has actually done this.
Really?
What?
Really?
I'm confused now.
Which one? None of them? No editions of Spider-Man or permutations have stayed true to the original. Really?
Oh god.
I'm suddenly confused. I did notice this during the movie. That black woman has very strange children.
My dude, I can immediately name off two that stay as true to the original as possible. The 90s cartoon and the Sam Raimi movies.
Yeah, I just.
That black woman has an Asian kid, another Asian kid, and
one mixed kid.
one mix. Yeah,
No, they're not Asian. They're just Eskimos.
That
Oh,
doesn't
yeah,
work
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
that could be an Eskimo,
May-
right?
A Canadian.
And there's a guy behind
Looks
her,
like
I
a
think.
Canadian head.
Yeah, it's some tall dude. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe she's just running an orphanage.
Maybe she's a nurse. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something.
Maybe she's a kidnapper.
Oh.
Yeah, the way she looks, yeah. Mean, stern, bit psycho.
Who would have Eskimo kids? Not even Eskimos have kids, so.
Nah.
Anyway.
Moreover, Into the Spider-Verse is actually very keenly aware of this, and a big part of the narrative is spent pointing out to longtime Spider-Man fans that they're missing the point. And what better way to demonstrate that by bringing over multiple versions of Spider-Man?
What?
The movie starts out with the most traditional version of
Okay, you didn't get it. The point of everyone can wear the mask, what Stan Lee also wanted to get across with Spider-Man, is that anyone can get his ass up to do the right thing, the good thing, the thing that's hard. Take the responsibility. Use the power that you have as a normal human being to make the world a better place. Stand up for your friends, speak the truth, and so on and so forth. Anyone can do that. That is what Spider-Man is about.
Anyone can do the right thing.
Yes, and the thing with Miles is that he doesn't feel up for it. And Peter initially had lost that. He had to re-find it. He had to regain it. That's nothing. No commentary about fans not wanting different Spider-Man. That's not the point.
Yeah, pretty much these scenes that we just saw were from the Sam Raimi versions, I believe.
Yeah, but the thing is, if people didn't want a different version of Spider-Man, why are they watching Into the Spider-Verse knowing that it's a different version of Spider-Man can be on the screen?
Exactly.
Yeah, how can the movie be so popular then?
Yeah. Oh no, all these toxic fans don't want to see Miles Morales, and it's like they've literally sat their asses down to watch a movie about him.
Yeah.
Also, do any of you guys know the reason why I've been bringing up Sam Raimi in the first place?
Because you're utterly obsessed with him, and you have a shrine in your bedroom devoted
No, actually,
to
no.
That sounds.
The reason I bring it up is that just those movies alone debunk this whole thing because he's a fan.
Yeah.
And he ended up making one of the best versions of the character, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
And look, I've when I watched, or just before Spider-Verse, or it was the reason why I watched Spider-Verse, I talked with my token black friends, and they told me, each of them told me individually, that they weren't fans of Miles Morales because he's boring and a token character. He is a token black character in the comic books, according to them. But they liked Spider-Verse because there Miles seems to be his own character for once.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the movie
because the people making Spider-Verse took what the potential Miles had that the comics squandered and ran with it and actually made something good.
Yeah, I can't speak for the Miles Morales comics because I haven't read them. I can speak for the Spider-Verse movie, and from that part, I can agree with my token black friends.
The movie blew the comics out of the water. I can tell you that much.
I mean, you can just refer to him as bears. You'd have to refer to him as your token black friend.
It's not just bears. It's not just bears. And
No.
Where do you think I get free N-word passes from?
I don't know. Mateus.
I haven't gotten one from him. Damn, I have to ask him. I need to add. I need to get a fourth one.
Yeah.
I want these all printed out on this this university diploma paper and with a nice calligraphed signature and hang them all up on my wall.
Just says the word nigger repeatedly.
That's the background. It's the ornamentation around it, like the frame.
Anyway, let's keep going.
And we know. With the snappy quips, helpful demeanor, fighting the bad guys, saving the world, you know the drill. But this Spider-Man isn't actually our main character. That honor goes to a completely different version known at the time only by hardcore comic fans, Miles Morales. Then, when the most traditional Spider-Man dies in the first act, he's replaced by another Peter Parker who is about as far from the ideal version you can get. He's lazy, jaded, overweight, and has let the cruelty of life completely defeat and cripple him. In other words, everything fans would hate Spider-Man to be. And to add insult to injury, according to the film itself, this version comes from the 616 universe, which is also the main Marvel universe. So not only is this Spider-Man everything fans hate, but he's also the main one. On top.
You know what? I can actually believe that after the disaster that was One More Day.
Yeah.
I don't even know what his point is here anymore. I'm just like,
but this is
the
just,
fans
it's
aren't
just,
complaining about this.
it's that Spider-Man, but older and fallen because of life tragedies. If enough of them happen to you, yes, you can fall to your knees and say, fuck it all. And the point of this story is that he does get back up. Even then, this Spider-Man does get back up.
I think he actually is
He
going to
just
say
needs
that
a
in the video
reason.
anyway.
He just needs to be reminded of a reason.
I think he does say that in the video, though.
That was his
Then what?
ongoing theme throughout the other shows he mentioned. So
Yes. Spider-Man 2, again. That's what happens there, too. He gets back up. He keeps fighting.
Yeah. So there's not that much to hate about this, I think, really, because we are not seeing him fall and then the movie ends. That would be shit. We see him in his hell state and get out of it.
Yes.
That's the heroic story. It's okay.
all right.
On top of that, we're also given 4 other versions of Spider-Man. All are extremely different from each other, except for one key element. They all believe that when life gets hard and you get knocked down, you always get back up. The interesting thing is, while they all explicitly say this to Miles, they all still try to teach Miles how they'd specifically be Spider-Man, rather than let Miles discover how he'd do it. It isn't until he finally stops trying to be like all the other Spider people and starts being his own that he's able to become the one and only Spider-Man. And that's where the point lies.
What?
Thanks for describing the movie.
Yeah, and it's
no shit, Sherlock.
It's the one Spider-Man in this universe.
Yeah, in that universe.
In that universe, he's not the one Spider-Man. That is a mischaracterization. The nice thing about this is that this movie, with this message, makes Miles Morales an actual Spider-Man instead of just a token he was in the comics.
Exactly.
And that's in a way it thereby shits on the comics and whoever invented that nonsense.
There is no one version of Spider-Man. There's no specific blueprint to what makes Spider-Man who he or she is. Because the details of the origin, the Uncle Bens, the Mary Janes, what have you, none of it actually matters.
No, it does. Because
Sure
that is
it does.
Peter
It
Parker.
does. Yes, it does.
The Spider-Man is Peter Parker. That is it. That is the Spider-Man story. Everything else is derivative of that.
Yes, it matters because literally Prowler's death later in the movie is Miles's Uncle Ben moment, the thing that motivates him to come into his own.
Oh, so it seems as if Miles does share some similarities to Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess
Didn't
it does
I say
matter.
that before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Especially since that's one of the most essential elements of any version of Spider-Man that even remotely is similar to Peter Parker.
Yeah, your uncle has to die.
A relative or a loved one or whatever. Someone that the person cares about dies.
So far, it's just uncles that I keep seeing. That seems to be the deadly.
Actually, yeah, it is uncles. Just to drive the point home.
Like my brother doesn't have any kids. I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm safe.
Uncle Ben, Uncle... What was Prowler called? Uncle Aaron?
Yeah.
I'm just like...
Uncle Aaron, no.
But
Oh
hey,
my God, that's
this
absolutely
Miles
frightening.
Morales still has a dad.
I've also realised uncles
yep.
do die a lot in films.
In Spider-Man films especially.
Jackie Chan
Well,
films, yeah.
And Uncle Owen of Star Wars, he gets bumped off, doesn't he? Dangerous job being an uncle.
Fun times.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What matters is the soul.
The
What drives
soul.
Spider who he is. And who he is the one who always gets back up. Who
Right.
feels
So wait a
There's one
second.
element.
All this is about is how you feel and themes. That's it. That's your. This dude is a bargain basement. Just right, or whatever those guys. What do we call those critics on YouTube now?
Cunts.
Feelings and themes. This is all we're learning from this guy. It doesn't matter what you're reading.
The subjectivist bread essay.
This nonsense bullshit. Oh, it's all. How does it make you feel?
Communists. That's what we call them.
Yeah, and the getting back up is not the only defining characteristic of Spider-Man. The always getting back up is, if anything, a defining characteristic of most hero characters.
Yeah,
endurance.
It's like oh, Superman famed for giving up after the first punch. It's like, oh well, game's over. I guess Dark wins. Oh, sorry, Dark Seed or whatever you want to call it.
Dark Side.
Such a dumb name.
Obligated to do the right thing, that he'll sacrifice his own needs consistently to do it.
Wow, like every other hero ever. That's great.
Because doing what's right and never giving up in the process is the most important part of Spider-Man. And it's the part that's...
So is Batman. So is Superman.
Yeah.
So is any
superhero. So how is this about toxic fans?
I don't know.
All Might.
I'm pretty sure if you knock a toxic fan down, they get back up again.
What is this guy smoking?
Dude, all this, yeah.
So is Son Goku. He even gets back up from death.
Yeah, but
Repeatedly.
Twice.
Okay. So Spider-Verse teaches you to get back up if you fall down, and the Darkwing Duck episode teaches you to get back up if you get knocked back down. So what you're telling all those toxic fans to do is, when someone like you makes a video knocking them down, tell them to just get back up again and keep going. Okay, cheers, thanks for your input.
Yeah, so there's no difference between Darkwing Duck, Batman, and Spider-Man. It's all the same message.
Now, what I find interesting, that the guy who's been infested by SJW brainwashing, apparently, is, the victim culture is telling us that endurance and stoicism is good, which is the thing they've been fighting against all the time. I think maybe he didn't get the memo, or they're starting to get into the next phase. I don't know how this weird hive mind works.
Anyway.
Don't let struggle get you down. Keep on
all
fighting.
Plot details,
that's
the
not
origin
how
story, the supporting characters, that's all
what
window
they're
dressing.
about.
Changing that up doesn't actually portray the character in any meaningful way.
Yes, it does.
As long as Spider-Man does what's right while still trying to live a normal life.
Oh, so there is a criteria. Oh, so it's not about how you feel and the theme of getting back up.
Yeah.
There might be some criteria you didn't think about yet, sir. Didn't bother to write down.
Yeah, honestly.
So long as he's neutral good or whatever, whatever we want to put him on a scale, as long as he's the way I think he is, it's okay. It's still Spider-Man. Oh, so
as long as he follows these rules in my head,
I just invented,
Spider-Man. It's like, right, so the rules that you've just invented.
Yeah.
Sounds like headcanon.
Sounds like headcanon, mate.
Yeah, we went from feelings and themes to headcanon. It's great.
Yeah. Again, it's unbelievable how it's the same two arguments: feelings and headcanon. That's it.
At least he doesn't come across like a total asshole like these other bread tubers. He seems like he comes across to me like a nice dude.
Yeah, but
he's just full of crap ideas that aren't his own.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
He's just saying stupid shit.
I do feel that he's just saying, it feels like like what we said. So he's read it somewhere else, and now he's saying it, and it's like, that's not how.
I haven't really analyzed Spider-Man to get a good grasp of the character, but it's pretty clear what Spider-Man, Peter Parker, his plight, his problems are. They stem from his ego and not being kind to people, not stopping the guy who stole the money, who ended up murdering Uncle Ben. Like all these little chain of little things that happened to him, and he's trying to redeem himself as time goes on. Like, it's a pretty simple setup. It's not overly complicated. I don't think I need to spend too much time figuring him out. But because of that simple setup, and because he's a kid, and because he's ostracized and feels alone, everyone can relate to this guy.
Yeah.
He's picked on as a kid. He suddenly gets superpowers. He has to hide his identity to protect the loved ones. Like, this is traditional stuff.
Like an average kid.
Yeah. We get it. It's not some great mystery of what Spider-Man is and the formula for Spider-Man is.
Yeah, it's not like when I think of all this stuff, it's like I don't put Stan Lee, no offense, on the same levels of Socrates and Plato and all this deep philosophical thinking and everything. It's like it's a comic book.
I don't put Plato on the same level as Socrates.
Well,
I'm just saying ancient.
I know what you mean.
Names.
I just wanted to be more snobby than you.
I know, but I could be even snobbier because it's Plato's Socrates, because Socrates never wrote anything down.
Anyway,
that was Aristoteles.
A bunch of bitter Greek blokes who aren't around anymore are not
Homer.
like
Homer. Homer.
Anyway, thanks for ruining my.
Homer, sorry.
Sorry.
You know something?
Anyway,
I come on here and I get berated by my lack of ancient Greek knowledge. I'm sorry.
Next, someone's gonna pronounce it Zeus again.
Zeus.
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 The thing is, it's like because it's Zeus, and it's like I'm just gonna say Zeus because, as I keep saying, we won 2 wars, tough shit. We get to decide what things are called.
His name is Zeus.
The thing is, though, the way you say it,
coming down.
No, it doesn't. It makes it sound like a small sausage factory in Bavaria.
Christ, man.
Now I'm imagining a label
that would be Tutsu.
I imagine a label of a lightning bolt with like a piece of meat like through it or something.
A lightning bolt and like a little happy German in lederhosen holding a sausage. It's
Yeah.
Ah, God.
Anyway.
I can already see the artwork.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's an accurate depiction. And believe it or not, every adaptation of Spider-Man has done this. Maguire did it, Garfield did it, Holland did it. They've all done it, so they're all Spider-Man.
Okay, cool.
Even
What,
Jake
Iron
Johnson,
Boy?
who voiced Spidey in Into the Spider-Verse, eventually rediscovers the soul of Spider-Man for himself by movie's end. Now, that's not to say you're obligated to like every version. You're allowed to have your favorites and not like who you don't like. But to say that a version is wrong just because it's not how you personally see it or want it is the wrong mindset to have.
Hang on, so
That's not most people though.
Hold on. You're allowed to like ones and not like ones. Okay, I think this is wrong. Well, that's the wrong mindset to have. No, I'm just doing what you told me to do.
Plus, his criteria is different than your criteria because he never spelled it out properly.
Yeah.
And
your criteria is as long as you do the right thing, you're Spider-Man. My criteria is he wears a suit. They're completely different things.
Yeah, and I still don't know what to feel about her being this universe's Doc Ock. With inflatable tentacles instead of mechanical ones.
Inflatable? What? Inflatable? What?
Yeah, she's just a crazy, obsessed, cartoonish villain scientist woman.
I mean, that's kind of that. To be fair, that's kind of how Otto started too.
Yeah, but that was when in the 60s,
70s.
When writing was
Fair point.
Anyway,
Fair point.
we're going into subjective arguments, which is never fun.
Yeah.
So
not even. This is semantics at this point.
Jesus Christ! Sorry.
all right.
bless you.
I just got jumped by a
what
sneeze.
Spider-Man is about.
Jump.
For further proof, let's look at the movie's villains. Of the many villains in Into the Spider-Verse, the only ones who are close to the comic book counterparts are the Kingpin and Tombstone. Everyone else has a radically different design from the comic book origins, and I think there's a very deliberate reason why that is. Kingpin's whole motivation revolves around maintaining the status quo.
I don't remember anyone
and
complaining
Tombstone
about
is
Scorpion.
his right-hand guy, and thus the most dedicated to his goals. See, Kingpin wants to bend reality itself to regain what he's lost. He fears change and wants to return things exactly as he remembers them. He ignores the fact that whatever alternate version he summoned wouldn't actually be his real family. He just wants everything to be exactly the way it used to be. But as everyone continuously points out to him, that doesn't work.
That's called grief.
Okay.
Kingpin is grieving, and he never got over it.
Right. I'm really sorry for this three-dimensional character. That's terrible. What the fuck has this got to do with toxic fandoms?
Because Kingpin is the toxic fan because he grieves the loss of his wife and child.
What?
No.
And wants it back to normal, just like toxic fans want their franchise back to normal.
I think
no. That's pulling it. If he's going to try and make that point, that's so far out of his fucking ass. His fucking intestines are being pulled out as well.
Well, this is where the fanboy has gotten a hold of him, and he's so excited to talk about the thing he likes, so that the plot of the video is lost again.
Yeah, this is just like.
So the next 3 minutes are just him talking about Spider-Man.
We'll see.
Right.
And in doing so, says directly to the audience that change must be allowed to happen. You can't always keep things exactly the way they used to be. Things sometimes need to change, which is why it's fitting that the man who wants to maintain the status quo isn't defeated by the ideal version of Spider-Man, but the one who just finished creating his own version of him. It's a direct rejection of fanboy obsession, with needing everything to be like...
See? Told you.
No, no! He gets beaten by Miles because it's Miles' film.
Yeah, but see, it's just that as I prophesized, he is equating Kingpin longing for his lost wife and child with the fanboys just wanting their franchise not being shit.
But that's
distorted. Like grieving for your lost family is just the same.
Grieving for your lost family is exactly the same as grieving for your dead wife. Because okay. What?
I mean,
he doesn't get
franchises it. They have a special place in our hearts, but to put that on the same level as a lost wife and child is you're insane. That there are mechanical similarities, yes, but man, how tactless can you be? Bloody hell! Grow some up, get some life experience, and let's say in 20, 30 years' time, you will hate yourself for having said something so stupid.
I kind of missed the Ducktales story. I kind of like.
I too miss DuckTales.
But what I despise is this pseudo argument of things have to change. No, they don't. Change when necessary. Necessary, not for the sake of changing. Because that's the problem that the people who put all this crap into your head say. They want change for the sake of changing. That is not. That is without direction. That is just random crap. There's no filter there. What you hate so much as the conservative element is actually the filter that keeps your bullshit ideas from ruining the stuff that works. So that the filter is not there to block out everything. It's just going to block 99% because 99% of all ideas are shit. And to let that 1% of change, of update, get in, to be implemented.
Just kind of the point
that works better.
Which is kind of the point of Spider-Verse.
But that's the thing, Wisp. When you try and change things change.
Where can I buy your books?
That is actually a line of dialogue in Dragon Age Inquisition.
Why does it not surprise me?
Does BioWare still exist?
Well, we're not sure exactly. They do stuff.
I just assume it's just a like one person's chained to a wall and he's going, Lord, I'll write anything for you. Just let me see.
Is BioWare still involved with the KOTOR remake?
That is. Oh God, no. Don't
worry. They won't exist anymore after that.
Yeah, I think the KOTOR remake proves that BioWare is dead. BioWare proper is dead.
Yes, it does.
Hey, we got a poster for N7 Day, okay? It was really nice.
That is
crater
super cool.
with a spaceship next to it. little people walking around the spaceship. That was
No, you know what BioWare should have done
closed.
for their writing?
Oh,
Closed.
What? No. They should have done the same that. They
The
should have done
Smudge said closed. I'm just like,
What Bethesda did: lock up their main writer in the cellar with a year's worth of LSD, and then let him out after a year.
No,
That's how you get Elder Scrolls lore.
teach him a lesson.
What Bethesda did was just keep releasing Skyrim. They're like, what? Why even bother?
No, that's what they do now.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
Before
which
Skyrim, they had to have written all that mad, insane Elder Scrolls lore.
No, which, by the way, speaking of re-releasing Skyrim for the 10th anniversary, they literally just did it again.
I'm actually thinking of getting it.
The anniversary version?
On which platform?
All of them, because
The
my
computer,
coffee
the
tables,
Xbox, the PlayStation, the Switch.
The reason I'm getting it is because my last
fridge?
coffee that keeps my coffee table level is
Is,
a little bit
is there a Game Boy version of Skyrim?
oh.
probably.
Wii U? Oh, wait.
There's a Nintendo 64 version of Skyrim, most likely.
You know what? You know what? I believe you if it was Morrowind on N64. That makes more sense.
Remember those the calculators you used to get at school? Yeah, there's probably a Skyrim version on there or something. You know.
All right, let's finish this off.
Let's just finish.
We're still waiting for the toaster version.
Material or to fit an exact mold. Miles doesn't like Peter Parker. He just needs to understand what Spider-Man represents, and he can change the rest however he wants.
What?
Just like how
We understand, you don't.
Not by trying to be like Starling, but by embodying the parts he idolized about the character as a kid. Both Miles and Mallard understand that the details of the character's story doesn't matter. It only matters what speaks to the core of their fans. And if
No.
Yes, it matters.
No.
Yes, it matters.
You keep contradicting yourself.
Well, this is not okay.
So is it the core principles of the character, or is it what the fans like? What appeals to the fans? Because the thing with what appeals to the fans is currently always used to excuse rabid changes that destroy characters with the justification of going for a wider audience or a modern audience, like the KOTOR remake.
The problem
We're
here
remaking it for a modern audience.
is
that nobody's going to want that.
He's taking the example of Darkwing Duck, which has a meta narrative because they're talking about making the character of Darkwing Duck in the DuckTales universe as a show. And you're like, okay, so what is the thing that matters? Well, whatever matters to the fans. It's like, okay, which you care about, and you have your own criteria for what that is, but you didn't actually understand what that criteria was on a broader level, so you know what fans want outside of your own brain.
Yeah,
and
the thing with this Darkwing Duck is that he just becomes the actual Darkwing Duck as he was as Darkwing Duck in his Darkwing Duck persona.
Like, he's not defining what it means to be Darkwing Duck or Spider-Man aside from how it makes him feel, and that the heroes never give up. And you're like, that's the most generic shit I've ever heard. Like,
extremely superficial. That means he understands that he has emotions, but he doesn't understand them and doesn't understand where they come from, what informs his emotions.
And they make me feel good, but I don't know what those feelings are or why. And you're like, oh.
I feel happy, therefore good. But you don't know why you feel happy. Why? What detail it is that makes you feel that.
Yeah, just date any woman. Just eat any food. Just run just do anything. And if it makes you happy, do it. You're like,
yeah.
Don't think about it.
This is the difference to a more adult mind or consciousness, because then you can reflect on your emotions and figure out what, drumroll, triggered it. What was the detail that actually made you have that emotion?
Yeah, this is why...
And from that, you can deduce more and more things.
This is why fans who read or watch certain kinds of shows, they say, well, why is Babylon 5 so popular by a niche group of fans? Because they actually pay attention, and they love science fiction. Yeah. They love reading it. They love watching it. and they go out of all the science fiction out there. You've got these really crazy ones like Doctor Who, Farscape. They're really far out there, and they're niche.
Lex.
Oh,
Jesus. Yeah.
Or don't we talk about Lex?
Lex is another topic for the day. And then you have Babylon 5, which is sort of in between the Star Wars, Star Trek, all these other groups of stories. And there's a reason why it's so beloved. I don't know why it's being remade. I'm a little concerned. But
maybe
it's...
because maybe, what is it?
What, Babylon?
Straczynski?
Yeah. Straczynski's making it.
Yeah, but Straczynski wants to make it. I don't know. Maybe he ran out of money. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, or is it probably because it's like with his story he wasn't able to do properly because season 5 is pretty shit.
No, he's just retelling the same story.
Yeah.
But it was fine the first time. It was fine the first time. Yeah. The last 2 seasons are a bit odd because they had to rush stuff into the 4th and only then got the okay for the 5th while it was planned for 5 originally. That's a bit annoying. But the thing was okay.
Yeah, but the thing is that's fine. But if he believes he can get it better this time,
it will fail solely from the point on that you cannot. I doubt very much that you can find actors that play off each other as well as they did in Babylon 5.
Yeah, true. I'm just saying
that was perfection. That was so organic.
But I just feel like if he got given another shot at it, like to do the story properly, it's like the actual, like they say, listen, there is going to be five seasons of these. You can do the story you actually wanted to do. It'd be like, yeah, I think he could do it. But if he's going to go through the same crap like he went through the first time, it's like, why are you bothering? You're just going to end up with the same.
I just worry in the current day and age, it's just gonna be another shit.
Yeah,
you have to understand.
He should rather do something with sock puppets, as he wanted anyway.
JMS is pretty much very left leaning. He's a nice guy and everything, but he's has TDS. He blocked me on Twitter. You know, he's all these elements. That, you know, one of my favorite writers, but yeah, you know, he's got some issues. And you have to get casting right. You have to get CGI right. You have to get all these things. Like, if they can get Christopher Frank back for music, that'd be interesting. So there's all kinds of elements.
Also, like, because they're not.
And then there's the question whether, if he remakes it, will the show again have the curse?
Right.
Well, then,
what is that curse?
Oh,
the actors die.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very good.
What did the actors die like every other day on that show? Or
every few months.
Really?
Yeah.
I know.
Really, I was joking.
Yeah, but it's not due to set errors like on Batwoman, but just life things.
Yeah, it's weird. But the thing is, these people, they had their own problems, they had their own demons, and for whatever reason, they came together. Like Zach Allen. His actual name I don't remember. The guy who was like the second in command of everything. He was just one of the background characters. Like, he was such a great performance. Like, he nailed that performance. Garibaldi, same thing. He had a problem with drinking. Like, everyone had their own. Zach was a drug addict. Like, he had all these problems. Everyone had all their issues.
Also, what's his name? Is it Michael? They were all human. Was the guy who played Sinclair in the first season? He had like brain problems.
He had brain problems. You're right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was. I think he was psychotic by the end.
Yes.
But he still pulled through, and that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I think even after all, it did add to the story, even though it wasn't planned.
It's difficult to have.
It gave the one story, this Trinity aspect.
The protagonist, when you have to replace a protagonist, it's very tough to get back on your feet as a show, and they did it, and it worked.
Oh, so well. Yeah.
So
it's like people.
Yeah, and it's greatly woven into the plot.
Yeah, because
and it even starts. So he gets. For anyone who hasn't watched it, fucking hell, the show is 30 years old now. He gets Sinclair, the original commander of Babylon 5. He gets sent 1,000 years into the past with the lost station Babylon 4 to fight in a war between the ancient races.
Well, it's the war between. It's like the first time. Well,
Yeah.
First time
Yeah,
with the shadow.
yeah.
It's like a constant thing anyway.
Yeah, and that gets him out of the show, but established as the one. He is Valen. He's the holy guy of the Minbari, which is also that kind of dark secret that they try to hide, that they are already mixed with human DNA due to him fucking around a lot.
But then it also creates that great thing where it's about the fact that that's the reason why Babylon 5 even starts, because it's after the Earth Minbari War, and the only reason that ended is because they actually, because what was it, the film, the beginning, changed it, does that thing where they, like, so with that, even that brain thing, it added up more lore. It gave them more opportunities to make even better stuff. And like,
it's basically Sinclair is a time paradox.
I bet Batman wished it could have brain problems and make good lore.
Yeah, but Sinclair is essentially a time paradox, but it's done well. It's done well because it's also so far apart. It is even to the point that Valen, also Sinclair as Valen in the past, writes letters to characters in the present that are only to be opened in the present at specific days. Which is and the Minbari, since they're so holy and devout, they did keep these letters hidden, sealed in little wooden boxes. I think that was a nice little touch. What I wanted to get at is when the second season came around and Sinclair was replaced necessarily, and Sheridan came in. Everybody on the station was unsure about him, distrustful of him. Some even hated him because he was the new guy and Sinclair is gone and we loved Sinclair.
And he was
that's incorporated into the show.
And he was a war hero who defeated the only guy who defeated the Minbari in a war or in a battle.
Took down one of their ships.
Yeah. Was it like?
Ironically enough, one of the flagship, I think, where Delenn was on.
Yeah. No, it wasn't, but it was it was one of their biggest ships. It was like the Starkiller, not Starkiller.
Black Star.
Black Star, yeah. Yeah, he destroyed it because he pretended, but he's also got that bad thing because he pretended to have a distress signal. So he pretended to be surrendering when in reality it was all a trap, and the Minbari weren't happy about it.
Technically a war crime.
Yeah, so that added a bit of extra stuff.
But in that sense, it wouldn't even count for that because the Minbari didn't take human prisoners.
Yeah, but
they would just go for the distress signal to destroy the humans. So
yeah, but
it wouldn't count as a war crime technically, because the humans knew that.
Well, it's kind of cool when you can write a letter to yourself 1,000 years in the past saying, "Hey, you're going to be Jesus." And you're like, "What?"
Hey, and you're not just going to be Jesus. You're going to fight this awesome war, and you'll get all these awesome space elf women as concubines, and get to mix breed this whole other race. So,
at least DS9 did the space Jesus thing a little better.
No, it just did it more bluntly.
No, the space Jesus in Babylon 5 is you've got to love it. It's great.
Yeah,
it's like it's great. And then we did Space Jesus again with Sheridan. It's like, oh my god, you did it twice. And
Hawk.
Oh yeah, with him.
Does it 3 times.
Yeah,
because Delenn is also Space Jesus.
Yeah, there's a lot of Space Jesuses in Babylon 5, but they all work, and none of it feels rushed and horrible. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you even got female interspecies space Jesus.
Man, you have seen Babylon 5, haven't you?
Fuck no.
Oh.
No.
You must see it in its original Czechoslovakian.
Yeah. Seriously, man, you've got to watch it. I mean, as bad as the CGI is, the scene on Zahadum when Sheridan jumps, it's just so, you're like, oh my god.
I think my heart skipped a beat when I saw that as a kid.
Yeah. It's really well done.
I do not accept shitting on the CGI of Babylon 5 because...
Oh, yeah, no.
Let it be known that Hawk did it, not me.
No. I love it. It's just people who will nitpick about it will say, well, this is terrible CGI. I'm like, yeah, but it does its job.
The first large-scale CGI on television.
Yeah. No, I
understand. It was amazing quality. Yes, it's aged. But fucking hell, it's still better than SG-1 did a decade later.
Yeah, true. It's still
And
better
Farscape
than
did. And Farscape did a decade later.
Yeah.
They were using
And then in the first
Oh.
season, Babylon 5 in the first season did better CGI than other sci-fi shows a decade later.
Yeah, they were using
yeah.
I think it was Lightwave 3D at the time, which pretty old stuff, but they managed to pull it off. So
If you want to hear details about that, invite Glib for Babylon 5 talk.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
That would be awesome.
We should probably do that on the weekends. That'd be great. Anyway, we got 2 minutes left. Let's finish it off.
Embody that right, not only can they become their own, but also inspire the next generation of heroes. Because these heroes don't need to be dark, edgy, and psychologically tortured to say something of value, which I feel is something about all these superheroes that people lose sight of. If it's something as big as Spider-Man or as goofy as Darkwing Duck, these characters that people remember are remembered.
Spider-Man is psychologically tortured.
And the reason is often that it spoke to them in some unique way.
What the fuck?
It can inspire, it can guide, it can mean more than they're even fully capable of understanding yet. But it says something that helps shape and define who they are. It can shape you as an adult. But even.
Oh my god, this is just a stupid selling the soapbox speech thing. This has nothing to do with toxic fans.
I like these shows, therefore they are good. Okay.
I have no idea where a critique on toxic fans is in there.
It's the Kingpin. The Kingpin is a toxic fan. Ha ha.
I think it just worked in his head, and when he got it down on paper, if he even did that, it's not there.
Yeah, this is what they do. They take a juxtaposition of their favorite thing. The villain is the bad thing. They are the bad fans. Oh. And they demonize them in the show, and that's how I relate so well, because I understood the villain. Okay. Therefore, the fans, just like in reality, are Kingpin. You're like, what?
Also, I will say, in what is one of the rare exceptions, the German slogan of Darkwing Duck sounds much better than Let's Get Dangerous.
What's the German version?
2-1 Risiko.
I meant the translation.
2-1.
Invade Czechoslovakia.
No. He's counting down. 2-1 risk. Doesn't ring well in English.
I know, I kind of like Achtung Baby a little better, but that's okay.
What? What did you say?
Well, you don't like that? That's a great saying.
What is that?
Achtung Baby, what?
Baby.
Achtung Baby.
You mean Achtung?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
hey, I thought you were talking about squids.
I'm sorry, I didn't sound Flemish enough for you.
Fucking Canadians.
All right.
And more so when you're a child. But because they help fans, there's the unfortunate tendency among others to become either overprotective or entitled to the version that helps shape them, which can lead to bullying, harassment, and gatekeeping.
But that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You are the type of fan who the fan in quotation marks, who comes in to the original fans and says everything needs to change because change is good. Do not resist the change.
Resistance is futile.
Change is good. If you resist it, you are bad. I need to gatekeep you out now of the original thing that you like that I changed. Fuck off. You need to be gatekept out.
Yeah,
Indeed.
he's doing.
Chad, give me a G for gatekeeping.
But why would you? Oh, well, whatever. Yeah, this is just.
But as both Spider-Man and Darkwing Duck point out, anyone that indulges in that ugliness is completely missing the point.
What?
If you really are a true fan,
What?
then you want to embody what makes your favorite.
No, shut the fuck up.
A true fan. I love it.
You're a true fan. Yeah, okay then.
Oh,
one of those wonderful
people
words.
enjoy things gets on my nerves because the SJWs don't let us enjoy things.
You are
They have
nuts.
to meddle with everything and change everything into some crap that only they like.
You are not a pure Marvel fan. You do not understand me.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't care. Go away. Leave me to enjoy my things.
This is not the true interpretation of Darkwing Duck. You don't understand the character.
Oh my god. That's fine. Please just back away from me. I don't want to be interacting with you. Help! Police, this man keeps having a go at me because I don't understand Darkwing Duck correctly. He keeps trying to shove Darkwing Duck memorabilia into my face. What?
I don't think he understands where he is in this culture war.
If there's any sides he actually knows the name of.
Yeah, I think he's just due to as you correctly identified, I believe. He is ignorant about what's going on around him, which is nothing to really hate him for or anything, because he sounds like a rather young guy. He's coming to this world, all this shit's going on around him. The social justice shit is dominant right now.
Yeah,
it's everywhere. They feel and act like they are in power, so that's the main information he's getting, and to puzzle through that is to this propaganda spaghetti. Is really hard when you're alone.
Well, and you're not ever taken a philosophy course or written an essay where it was critically debunked or taken apart for yourself, so you know how to argue. There's lots of missing parts in this video, or argument rather.
Yeah. I think he has the potential to go into the right direction. He just doesn't know where that is yet.
I don't care to write down a comment. I just don't. Doesn't bother me. You guys.
He's just confused.
Yeah, you guys can go say, I don't believe what you think is true. Maybe you have to think about that. You could do whatever you want. I don't care. But I think I'm done leaving comments on these people's channels. Unless it's like really funny, then I'll do it. But this is just not worth it.
I think he just hasn't thought it through.
You want to share them with the next generation so they can learn what makes them great. These characters are meant to be shared, not hoarded. They're not meant to be twisted beyond recognition for pretentious creators, nor are they meant to be slaves to a very specific mold.
What?
They're meant to change.
Spider-Man is a mold.
No, they're not meant to change.
You see how there's all these Spider-Men? They all look very similar. Why is that?
Dude, stop contradicting yourself. If there is a core aspect to them, of several, usually there are several, then those core principles, core elements are not to change. Everything else is a skin, is a DLC. But what the SJWs do in their culture war is that they change the core aspects of characters. That is why we despise them. They come into our stuff, change the core aspects of it, and then try to gatekeep us out. And say, if you don't like it, then don't buy it. If you don't like it, then go make your own thing. And then we make a new thing, and they come in and change it and say, oh, well, if you don't like it. Well, if you don't like it, why don't you stay out?
Yeah, exactly.
Make your own stuff. Oh, wait, nobody buys it. Nobody wants to play it because it's shit, because you're uncreative hacks.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Anyway, 1 minute left.
I mean, he's not the problem. He's just a flying
so
monkey.
Reach out to more people and spread the one message they embody that will never change.
No one cares.
Don't give up. Don't let the world make you cold. Don't let it twist you into something you're not. And when the world, or even just one person, eventually knocks you down, always remember: get back up.
So no matter how many.
But then you can't play the victim.
Can you get back up?
No one cares.
When you think you can, keep going.
Come on, Mom.
Bye.
You can do.
Yeah. Okay.
Come on, Miles.
Okay, it's just a noise overload.
All right, good enough for me.
He's not going to tell us anything more. Okay, he didn't actually tell us about what he really believes toxic fans are. He didn't give us a clear definition. He wobbled around.
I haven't got a clue what he was actually even fucking on about half the time. It just felt like.
And I very much doubt. I just doubt. I can be wrong, but I very much doubt that it was in the part where he goes over the plot of Spider-Verse that we skipped. I doubt it was in there. That was dull.
All right. Memes, here we go. Darkwing Duck is an homage to the Shadow, not Batman. Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was...
I know what you mean.
Yeah, we get it.
It's kind of both, because Darkwing Duck is all the gimmicks he has. Those are Batman implements.
Whisp and Mike Testa warning the Japanese about poop flinging Californians.
That was a thing from Cyrex Morning Show yesterday.
What the heck's going? Who's the guy with the sword?
I don't know. But at this point, I'm too afraid to ask.
What's going on here? A bunch of monkeys? Okay.
Wow, this is racist.
Oh no, a rated R film. Anyway, The King's Speech.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just saw the Lego thing. That's me.
Wisp, what did you? Oh, this is the guy who turned. Wow.
80 really quickly. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like he's like slowly dying.
What meme are we on?
Yours.
Yours, yeah.
2004 to 2007 or 2008 rather, whatever that was.
Oh yeah, it starts it starts hard in 2007. It's just for the April, May, and then July.
Amazing.
It's 3 months.
See, Asians got that gene, man. They could just control their age for decades.
It's like suddenly the telomeres just break off a meter at once, probably.
Some women just don't age. How old are these girls?
I'll scroll down. Scroll down.
It's a 63-year-old mum with her 41, 40, and 36-year-old daughters.
Wow.
But
Asian women, magical.
Yeah, yeah. And then one day she will just have shrunken and a foot, be hunched over and tiny with tiny beady eyes, and smile all the time.
Gingaman, what's this? Oh, sorry, Wisp, what are you doing? What you? Mondo
Gingaman
Media?
wanted to know what Batman and Spider-Man is.
Okay.
That's the show.
All right, we'll watch it later. I don't want to get
No,
taken
don't
down.
watch it now.
All right. Oh, look, it's the Cal Arts Batman. Oh my God.
Oh no!
Wow, what is?
With a power ring from Green Lantern.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, that's the red ring. The what is it, Rav?
Oh jeez.
Probably is it? I can't remember.
Lightning
Rav,
sausage.
Angus, something.
What? Oh, it's the Flash. Okay.
It's Zeus.
Zeus.
It's Zeus, the small sausage factory from Bavaria.
Khajiit knows best. Skyrim on N64. Okay.
Retro release.
Oh, hey, I'd play that Skyrim on Super NES. Yeah, cool. Maybe a side scroller or something. In the Babylon 5 remake, will Ivanova be a werewolf? Yeah.
Maybe.
She's in a bunch of acting roles in Skyrim, so.
Really?
Yeah. Oh,
awesome.
Yeah.
I loved her. I loved her acting in Babylon 5. Her character. Man, all the characters are great. Fuck it.
What was it I was watching recently, and she did a voice. So I was a bit like, hang on a second, I recognise that voice.
I know.
And it was her, but I was like, I can't remember. I can't remember what it was.
Uh-oh.
Oh, well.
Rittenhouse gets cleared of all charges, about to exit courtroom. Judge yells out from behind, "Hey, kid." Rittenhouse turns around. "You forgot this." Tosses him his AR-15. Credits roll. Eye of the Tiger plays. Oh, I would love to see him leave the courtroom with his gun on his back. That'd be amazing.
I want like a what is it, like after at the end you see like slides of Where Are They Now, and it's just like the prosecution like being brutally beaten up outside.
I'm honestly surprised no one jumped out of the jury stand at Binger and beat him up with the AR-15 he was pointing at the jury.
It's like Rittenhouse later went on to sleep with many women and like spawn hundreds of chads. Binger was brutally raped by a giant black man with an AR-15 shoved up his ass, and was going to spend the rest of his days alone.
Well, here's the wonderful.
And then he ran out of soy milk.
Here's Zathras knows who is the one. No one believes poor Zathras.
Yeah, poor Zathras. Which Zathras is this? Is this Zathras or Zathras?
It's the 8th, probably.
Zathras?
Zathras sorry, but Zathras brings son to work today. Animal no want work on great machine. Animal want to be drummer. Where Zathras go wrong raising son? Son no wants job. Zathras no want job, but job must be done.
Zathras is wholesome.
Oh, Zathras.
Where do these Zathras memes come from?
I know.
Yeah.
Who makes these? Who
Not
even knows
the
this
one.
character today?
So good. Not the one. Change.
Who makes Zathras memes nowadays? What is this?
So good.
What is going on?
I like the fact that it was like only 3 people would possibly know about Zathras. Next thing you know, oh my god, where are all these memes coming from? How the hell do you know this
Who's
character?
making these?
George Kell, supposedly.
So when someone does a foolish thing, you should tell them it's a foolish thing. They may not listen, but at least the truth is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, your Kells, if you tell me you did these things, I'll give you something in the tip jar.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This is my favorite. Not the one. This is so good.
That is
Once you watch that episode, it's like, yeah, I get it. Love it.
So well fit in onto the desk. I love it. The editing in this is amazing.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff. Anyway, guys, go watch Babylon 5 from the beginning if you haven't. They remastered it, I think, last year. Or was it this year? I can't remember.
This year, last year, it all merges into one, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So check it out. Only watch it from the beginning. It is the best example of a syndicated story that has an overarching plot that has payoff. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well written, great characters, great character dynamics.
Yeah, it's like if only
great subplots.
If only the guys who worked at BioWare were writers like, hey, what is that Babylon 5 show with space opera stuff and there's all these things.
Oh my god, it's like imagine having a space station in space and like ancient evil returning after a certain amount of time, and you have to unite a galaxy to stop them. Oh, crazy.
Yeah, when you do your space station stuff with your space government between the species, you need things like Jakar and Molari going on.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. Ugh, they're so great.
You need, and that also counts for video games, because that's where you, as the protagonist, help with your shenanigans with, and where you stumble into the when they have episodes. Like
the great thing
there's nothing like Jakar and Molari waiting before the elevator or going for a drink.
Those two guys, they would tell stories which were more interesting than certain plots on the actual main storyline. Like you sort of forgot about what Delenn and Sheridan were doing, and you just like they're telling a story about, I don't know, some parable. What they say, and you just want to listen to this. It's always something profound and meaningful and super. Like the one from the future.
Yeah,
he talks about humans who were fighting the war, and he was like, they did this for 2 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When they ran out of bullets, they used knives. When their knives broke, they used stones and their fists, and they fought for every scrap of land for 2 years. And you're like, oh my Jesus, yeah, carry on. Tell me more of this story. And bear in mind, at this point in time, a human's being brutally bludgeoned to death by Minbari, and you're like, oh my god. Because it's the beginning, isn't it, movie? That scene.
No.
I
love the whole recap at the end with Molari telling a young kid at the court the story, and then finishing it up even afterwards.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites is Molari talking about the decadence of the Centauri courts, and about this one guardsman who's standing in the garden, and nobody remembers why. And he dug in the archives to figure out what the order was that put this guardsman there. where because he was trying to explain to Jakar why in the royal cells they found a Narn woman that was important to him. She was simply forgotten there. That they had her as a war captive. She was still there after peace was made with the Narn or something, and he tried to explain it to him that he found this guard in the garden standing, and it took him a while to find the order in the archives, and it goes back to centuries ago. There was a princess or something at the court, so a young one, and it was winter, and there was one flower in the garden that stuck through the snow, and she ordered a guard to stand there and protect the flower so that no one would trample on it. But as it is with Centauri nobles, next week they have all forgotten about what they did, and so the guard the order was never called off, and so for centuries there has been a guard standing there in the garden at some random place every day.
It's a great sign of how there was a dynasty before that everyone sort of longs for hundreds of years, and everyone wants to go back to this great time where they ruled the galaxy, and they were the wisest and strongest. And they met the Minbari, and they were like, oh shit, that's not good. And they slowly lost their power and their influence, and everyone wants it back, and they don't know why. It's a beautiful, sad story of and it's got that generic European vibe. Like we're just this, the Minbari are just this amalgamation of every European nation. It's just this funny.
It's absolute Renaissance decadence.
Yeah, it's funny as hell. It's like I can relate to that. Everyone understands the weird accents and weird dresses. Yeah.
I can relate to Renaissance decadence. Victorian decadence.
It always reminds me of France before the Revolution.
Yeah,
that always gives
they have
French
that,
royalty.
That Belgian, Franco-Russian. It's this weird sort of everything vibe.
It's you're right. The Centauri are basically stuck at the moment before the French Revolution.
It's brilliant. It's fantastic
as a species.
Yeah.
And Narn are just the best idea of an alien species you can relate to that's just been brutally smacked around and still alive. And their culture is just hanging on by a thread. And they're bare bones. They have like a samurai code. They have all these basic ideas, but it's mostly forgotten and destroyed. And they're just clinging it. They're like, all war. Still want to fight, but they just don't know how to win.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. I love it. It's all militaristic, and then they just sort of ramp up the tension between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, and Molari is great for explaining the silliness of politics, propaganda, and necessary manipulation in all of it. In diplomacy, in the ruling class. Well, because you can easily translate the intrigue in the noble ruling class of the Centauri with what we have today going on in our democracies in Western countries. Technically, we are ruled by dynasties, by families who give power in a tandem to each other. Like, well, a few decades this family is ruling, the other decade the other family is ruling.
Yeah,
and it just keeps on going. I mean, you could say that the USA had a Bush dynasty, and almost had a Clinton dynasty in a way. Canada has a Trudeau dynasty. It's kind of weird.
Well, guys, I gotta take a break. That was fun.
Yeah.
Just because we're talking about Babylon 5, and it's just one of those things that you just go, whoa.
You get a little bit distracted with it.
Yeah, it's like if you flip it through the channels, you're like, oh, it's a random episode. Let's watch it. And you just sit down for half an hour. It's great. Anyway,
Better than the video.
go to bed. Enjoy. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's always been fun. Yeah, that's about it.